All set.
Okay. Welcome to the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners meeting of March 3rd, 2021. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, this meeting of the Dudley Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners will be conducted in total via remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at dudleyma.gov. If you would like to attend this meeting, please contact Jennifer Canoyer at 508-949-8007 or watersewer@dudleyma.gov or sewerwater@dudleyma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so in the following manner: via YouTube and/or the posted link at www.dudleyma.gov, the town's website. Okay, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I have a flag behind me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and just so for a point of information, folks, I did ask the town administrator last week when we might get back to regular meetings. And it's his thought at this point that it will wait until vaccine is readily available to the general public. So it'll be at least a couple more months. He says probably be May or June. But it'll be sooner, but who knows? Acceptance of meeting minutes. Okay, 3rd of February, last month's regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of February 3rd.
Motion's been made
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call a vote. All votes have to be roll call.
Tom Fournier, aye.
Jay Spall, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Bill Conley, aye.
Scott Sikowski, aye. Okay, the minutes of February 16th. Special meeting we had.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of February 16th, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any comments? Okay, all in favor?
Tom Fournier, aye.
Jay Spall, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Bill Conley, aye.
Okay, and actually, I'm gonna abstain from voting because I haven't read them. Jen, could you change my vote as well for the first set of minutes? I haven't reviewed them, so I'm not going to vote on them, or I shouldn't vote on them. But they're accepted anyways unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda is the, do we have anybody for the public hearing, Jen?
No, no one called or contacted.
Okay, is it okay to take things out, take that out of order?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I'm going to,
I'm sorry, would that be, I have a question about the water on Pine Street that I was asking for. Would that be?
okay, I just, the public hearing, we have a public hearing for rate increases.
Oh, okay.
With unanimous consent of the board, I'd like to move that so that we can take care of the folks who are in attendance. They can certainly hang on afterwards, but just to be able to free them up if they wish to sign out of the meeting. Does anybody object? Okay,
Scott, is there a period that we need to have the public hearing open for?
have to have a public hearing, discuss the rate increase, and then we can close it and take a vote.
Okay, I know sometimes they have public hearings and they require them to stay open for at least a half hour or something along that line. I only ask because if you want to open the public hearing and we know there's nobody there to discuss it, you could start the clock on that. We can go ahead and act on the rest of the business and then come back to it. It's up to you. You're the
I
chairman.
don't believe we can take any votes during public hearings. You have to,
Okay.
you have to
No, you
close the
can't.
hearing. You have to close the hearing before you can take a vote. And I don't believe that I've attended many public hearings in the past, and I don't believe there's a time component to that. It just has to be opened, and has to be published, posted, and it has to have been, we have to open it and then close it. So unless anybody objects, I'd like to just move on to those other, the
No, you
next
can-
3 line items and then go back to that, 4 line items.
That's fine.
Okay. First one on the list is 2 Manzoni Drive and 19 Progress Ave. Is there someone here for that?
Hello, hi, this is Doug LaBelle. I'm present. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. So you're requesting water and what was amended? You want sewer for
Tuma zone, number
for
Tuma
Tuma
zone, I'm looking for sewer with a well over there.
okay,
And on 19 Progress, water and sewer is in front of the lot, and I want to connect to both of them. I met with Mike and George on both lots twice, and they both agreed that it's a clear connection, clear cut connection.
okay. I believe those plans, copies of those plans were sent out to each commissioner. So
Yep.
Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Just a question on Manzoni, the one on the Manzoni, it's a well, from what I see.
Yep.
Is it gonna be a meter on the well?
I don't
Yeah,
believe so. I believe they, well, it can
Yeah,
be,
we have to,
go ahead.
yes, there will be a meter on the well.
There will be. Okay, George.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
My question, thank you.
Sewer bill will be based on that. Okay, any other questions? And that sewer easement will remain?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Any other concerns or questions? Okay, does anybody want to make a motion then? I believe we should probably take the 2 properties. Well, we can take it as a single motion. So it's for water on 19 Progress and
Water and sewer
sewer.
on 19, right?
water and sewer on 19 Progress and sewer only on 2 Manzoni Drive.
If he changes his mind and he wants to tie in to the water, he knows what he has to do. He has to run that whole main down and over his property. But we could always say he wants to go water, give permission for water. If he decides to go that route, we won't go after. That's up to them.
Okay.
I'm sorry, George, you're breaking up.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I just was wondering, Doug, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Do you want them just to include possible water on Manzoni if you change your mind, so that, because we've already discussed it with you, you have to run the water main out and around the property? I mean, it's your
Sure.
call,
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, it won't hurt to yeah.
just in case there's a problem.
Leave
and
my
you find
options
out,
open, sure.
you know. Mr. Chairman, I discussed this with Doug. We went on the site. He understands that he'd have to tie in from the main at Ellis and Prospect and go all the right way around to the end of his property and then put a hydrant there. It's up to the board if you want to just include that as as an approval, but possible if he wants to do it. But right now, we're going well.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we can approve, we've made approvals before that have never been followed through with. But that's up to whatever someone wants to make a motion for.
It may be a prudent thing to do just because if he drills a well and it shows up contaminants and whatnot, and it's not a potable well, then he might have to tie in, and it just means he'd have to come back to the board, go through the whole process again.
Okay,
Chairman, I'll make a motion to allow water and sewer connection from Manzoni Drive. I'd like to do them separate if we can.
okay, we can do that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion, and as long as we provide the language that all the regulations and bylaws are fulfilled on these sewer and water tie-ins, and the proper fees are paid to the water and sewer department before work commences.
Okay, that sounds good. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Roll call.
Tom Fournier, aye.
Jay Spall, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Bill Conley, aye.
Scott Sikowski, aye. Okay, 19 Progress Ave.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, for water and sewer connection at 19 Progress Ave.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman, and once again, as long as all regulations, bylaws are fulfilled and payment is made before commencing the work.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Tom Fournier,
Roll
aye.
call.
Tom Fournier, aye.
Jay Spall, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Bill Conley, aye.
Scott Sikowski, aye. Unanimous. Okay. Just, Mr. LaBelle, please stay in touch with George and Mike and so we make sure that everything is done according to regulations and bylaws.
Great. Okay. Am I
Okay.
all set with you, all you guys tonight?
You are all set with us unless you
Okay.
have something else.
No, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Okay.
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a
All
good night.
You
Okay.
too.
Bye.
36 Pine Street. Scott
Yes.
Hemming,
That is me, yes.
okay. So we're looking for tie-in to water,
Correct.
okay. Have you been in touch with our superintendent,
What was his name?
George?
Yes, I spoke to him once, and he was we found out it is not in front of the house, so I have to bring it up the street, put a fire hydrant at the end.
Okay. Okay, all right. All right. I just needed to refresh my memory.
Right,
I
well,
can't wait till we
I
get
was
back.
gonna put a well in there, but the lot size isn't big enough to have a well and a septic, so.
Okay. All right. So, George,
Yes,
you've been in
There's-
discussion?
yeah, I explained to him, there is a line gate right down just down from his property line in the house before the main stops there. It's an 8-inch line going in. I'm just asking that we take that line from the gate area where we find the end of the stub, run it to the end of his property line whatever he's building, and put a hydrant there. And then if we have any future expansion there, we're ready to go from there.
Okay. So everything's been discussed, and we do have plenty of capacity over in that area.
Yes.
Okay. Was there anything else on that?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Hey, George, so you
Yeah.
explained to Scott that it's an 8-inch ductile iron line with a
Yeah,
hydrant.
Yeah, I briefly went through it with him. I'd be glad to go with him on the site and show him where everything is and explain everything that he needs, from there. I don't know if he's talked to a contractor and got prices or anything like that.
He knows the type of material that has to be installed.
Yeah.
brand wise, the name of the hydrant you prefer to use and the.
Yeah, and there's gonna be somebody on site as they do the work to make sure everything is done properly.
And the proper installation of ductile line pipe to the
Yep.
end property line.
Yep.
And he bears the responsibilities for that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Correct.
Is that a motion, Jay?
No, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page that he knows.
Yep.
In other words, I don't want to have a confrontation when someone thinks they can put an 8-inch plastic pipe or something of that idea. And like I said, we're gonna follow the regulations that you install and ductile pipe and using whatever grade hydrant at the end. That's all. Whatever George recommends.
Okay,
So, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion then that we give give Scott permission to tie into downtown water, providing he follows the regulations provided by George. And it's installed in a professional manner, and the water department inspects the installation of that piping.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
a motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call a roll call vote.
Jay Spall, aye.
Tom Fournier, aye.
Make one up in my spirits.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Bill Conley, aye.
Scott Sikowski, aye. Okay, Mr. Hemming, you're all set then. Just stay, like, as I said with the last folks, please stay in touch with our office and with our superintendent and we can get that all installed.
Okay, so Mike, if I need to call anyone, I can call Jennifer.
You can call the office and if you need to talk to, if George, yes, yeah, that would be the best bet.
Okay, now as far as pulling the permits and things like that, we just doing that at the drop off?
Yeah, I will follow up with you tomorrow.
I'm sorry?
I will follow up with you tomorrow. I'll email you a letter and everything that you'll need.
That would be great. That would be
Perfect.
great. All right.
Yeah, it's a little different with dealing with everything virtually.
Yeah, I'm finding that.
We're doing the best
Yeah.
we can and trying to be better at it. We'll get it down to perfection just in time to go back to fix the fix.
I think we will.
Okay,
All right. So that's all I need?
that's all you need.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay,
You're
Bye now.
welcome.
okay, 5 Brandon Road. Permission to tie into sewer, which was continued from last month's meeting. Is there anybody here for that, or are we? I know a plan was sent out, I believe today.
Good evening, Scott. This is Dan Aguirre from SciTech CEC.
That's right.
We had
Yeah.
met at last month's meeting,
Yep.
and we had sent in a preliminary sketch at that point in time, proposing a connection to the existing sewer line in Chase. As you know, there was no sewer line in Brandon, and we have an issue of a failed septic system on an adjacent property that we need to resolve. So once we get rid of some of the snow up there, we were able to get some survey work done of the house and down to that intersection. I actually did that myself on Saturday. And then we were able to submit to you on Saturday a revised plan, which we updated as early as this morning after speaking with George, after we reviewed the connection of how he wanted us to approach it. There is an existing stub out of the manhole at the intersection of Chase and Brandon, and we are going to utilize that stub and tie in our proposed 6-inch SDR 35 line coming out of the side of the house, running down Brandon and tying into that manhole. If I can get some sharing capability, I can put up a plan for you if you don't have one in front of you. I would be more than glad to do that, but it's a rather straightforward connection. We were able to locate the existing sewer, water, electric and gas services to the existing house on Brandon. There's really nothing on that side of the shoulder on Brandon, with the exception of a paved swale that we'll have to navigate once we get down towards the intersection. But it's a fairly straightforward connection. Is a great elevation difference between the house. We did not have to use the E1 pump and a low pressure force main. We could easily make it by a gravity connection.
Yeah, I know last month it was talking about you having to use a pump, and that didn't make any sense to me because I know I've driven down that road many times and there's quite an elevation change.
Yeah, that was the first time for me being on that road. We actually surveyed the Ethan Allen building a few years ago. So to my surprise, we did have quite a bit of survey information out there, but I was unaware of the great elevation difference that would allow us to connect by a gravity connection.
Good.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
Bob and I were just talking, and we're looking at seeing if we can get a manhole put on the top side of that where he makes that elbow coming down. Something so because if we ever go any future tie-ins over there, which we could use that, we need something for clean out and an observation. That would make perfect for that.
At which end, where we connect to the street?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct. Up there.
The
Yes.
90-degree bend.
For you?
That'll be fine. We can add that to the plan.
That would be awesome.
Excuse
Are you going,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Just questioning the pipe going down Brandon, down to Chase, is that gonna be in the middle of the road or on the side?
No, that's going to be in the shoulder, in between the existing stone wall. Actually, I think I can share my screen now. There we go. Okay, so right now, the intersection of Chase and Brandon, that's where the existing sewer manhole is, and there's an existing 10-inch stub coming off of that heading northwest. So the existing dwelling now at 5, you'll see has an existing sewer line that comes out of the easterly side of the house, and there's actually a cesspool located on the abutting property. So we will be coming off of that existing sewer line and proposing to run our new 6-inch line out to the street. I'm assuming this is the location where George wants us to put a manhole, and that's fine. And then we will continue down the shoulder to the south side of the existing paved swale till we get to the end, and then tie into the existing
You want to
stuff.
be just up a little and then tie into it below.
Mark, just for curiosity, who's how are they disposing of the septic tank? The cesspool.
Are you asking me that, sir?
Yes, yes.
I don't know who is going to be responsible for the removal of the existing cesspool. I'm assuming that'll be a Board of Health issue. We were told that we cannot utilize that cesspool. So we will be just coming off of our sewer, disconnecting it from the main. We don't have permission to go onto the abutting property. So I'm assuming the Board of Health will then deal with that cesspool.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The only reason I'm asking is I'd like to see when they dig it up, if there's any crazy pipe running down further from that tank or whatever, just for my own mind's sake, that's all.
Yeah, when I was out on the site, I did locate it. You can tell where it is. There's about a 10-foot diameter circle of effluent sitting at the ground. So you could easily tell where the fail system was. And we were able to locate the existing line leaving the building, and it's a straight shot from there to the cesspool. So it'll be a very easy connection coming off of the side of the house, and we have plenty of room running down that easterly property line.
Very good.
Yeah, the plan looks very doable, and it's looks a little easier than it looks like there shouldn't be any issues with it. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I equal George's comments there. I would definitely want a manhole there, accessible manhole, because that's a 90-degree turn going onto the private property. And if you ever had to jet it out in the street, at least you'd have access down to the manhole over there on Chase Ave. So concrete manhole, steel cover on it, so you can get the jetter down there. And let the house 6-inch line come into our trunk line where the manhole is, if that's what you want.
I will add it to the plan and I'll add a detail of the sewer manhole to make sure it meets your standards. I was looking online for some specific standards to add to the plan. So we just used our generic sewer trench and we'll add a detail for the sewer manhole as well.
Because when we started the conversation, I was looking at the drawing on my phone and you just showed like a clean out there at the
Yep.
road level. I mean, you know what happens to clean out like that? They get belted by the snowplow, et cetera, and you could have that rise to fill up with dirt, so at least a manhole is accessible for inspecting the work and jetting, so.
That's fine. We were trying to keep the cost down as much as possible, of course, but I can see the need for it.
A sewer blockage.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to allow sewer connection from 5 Brandon Road to Chase Ave.
As discussed.
As discussed.
A second.
It's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Tom Fournier, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Jay Spall, aye.
Bill Conley, aye.
Scott Sikowski, aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, so Legacy Landing, Airport Road. They're looking for an extension of the permit. I believe there's no one in attendance for that. However, it is they did this last year as well. This permit now is 2 years old. It's approaching the end of its second year. So they want to continue it. I believe they're looking at trying to sell the development rights in the property. It's pretty straightforward as long as they pay the fees. Go ahead.
Are the rights go with the deed?
When
I don't
it's
know.
go ahead.
I know sewer doesn't. If a property is sold, they have to come and reapply for a new sewer connection.
Okay. I'm not totally familiar with that, but okay. All right. Yeah, I believe they wanted we want to tie sewer in over on Dudley Hill next to the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know if it was Tom was talking.
No,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I did talk to the individual who is looking to do this project. Well, I did explain to him that we'd be connected if they were ever going to do this. There would be 8-inch main going in there from our Airport Road over to Dudley Hill Road, and the sewer would be connecting in to Dudley Hill Road and not Airport Road. Because
Yep.
we're not forcing anything down the tan yard anymore. That's already overcome by Nichols. So he understood that. And like I said, the plan is, I think you've already looked at the plan before.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have it in the file
Yep.
somewhere. I got to look for it, but it's like 20 units or something like that. I got to look at it again, but basically
I
that's
think
what
it
it
was
is.
22, but
22.
George, does he know that, because the property's for sale, does he know that the connection does not go with the sale?
No, we didn't get into anything like that because he didn't even come say he was going to come before the board yet. It was probably going to be next month. So we didn't really get into any specifics till he got to the board because I didn't know what his real intentions are, except he was asking questions. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, I kind of agree with what Tom is saying. This stuff gets dragged on and on and on, and
That's right, it does.
you don't know who you're dealing with as far as these permits go.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm okay with it.
The homeowner, the property owner is aware that this is for him and this is so that they can sell the property.
Yep.
Knowing that there is the ability there to hook up to the water and sewer.
Yep, okay. Thank you for that clarification. And I think we just lost. Oh, somebody was saying something and they were dragging out. Okay,
I just want it known that the right does not go with the deed.
yeah, you're dragging. You're not connected. Your connection is weak. But, okay. So is there a motion?
You hear me now?
That's better, yes. Okay. So, yeah, I thought there was something about extensions. You know, as to how long, yeah, they're an annual extension, but I thought there was something in the regulation about how many extensions could be piled on one after another, without having an escalating cost. But I don't remember. That was quite a while ago that we discussed that. We don't run into this very often. But we'll have to look that up. But in any case, what is the
Mr. Chairman,
wish of the board? Go ahead.
I would say hold this for the next meeting or whatever, table this because he's not here to represent himself and we just can't give out permits and things without a representative here. It's just not proper, especially when you got concerns with this.
Okay, yeah, I know they are trying to sell it. There is a sign on the property. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, that would be my apology. He asked if he had to attend, and I said he did not. I apologize.
oh, okay.
I was misinformed, so I apologize.
Would it matter if we waited till the next meeting? Would it run out?
I actually
His
explained that to him.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, Jen, I had talked to the individual myself because he asked questions and I asked him, right now we had a full agenda. Would it be possible to come at the next meeting?
Oh, no, I'm talking about Mr. Ruda.
Oh, no.
Mr. Ruda's the one looking for the extension.
Okay, no, this is another individual that was interested in doing the actual work. Okay, and now, all right, even so, same thing would apply, what I'm saying.
When do the current permits
Firing on April 4th.
So our next meeting is after that.
Mr. Chairman, could we extend it for a month and then get them in to attend the meeting?
What's the date of our next meeting?
Possible.
Mr. Chairman, if you hold on, I can call him and see if he can come right on.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something?
April 7th.
The April meeting will be on the 7th.
Too late.
Mr. Chairman,
What's that?
you know, what I'm thinking about here, we're tying up, tonight we gave out possibly 3 water permits, sewer permits. People are applying for these, but they're not using them, and they're holding us hostage where all of a sudden a guy can show up and say, now I want them. And we could be in a drought condition and times could change, because as time goes by, we're allowing other people to tie into the system, and they're just holding on to these permits as like a bounty, holding them over our head.
That's why I thought there was a scale set up a few years back as to, you know, as people tried to extend them further and further, what, as far as the costs. But I can't remember what it is off the top.
2 or 3 years or something, that's it.
Uh,
Can't do that.
I thought there was something. I remember having this discussion before, and I'm trying to remember the development that what it was talking about. I think it might have been Tufts Hill behind the courthouse. Somebody wanted to develop on Tufts Hill, or there was a permit that had been hanging out there. It might have been the mill even as well, the first mill project. It hung out there for years, and we had to, we discussed it, and I thought we had developed a rising scale for the number of years, if kept wanting to extend them.
Yeah. Because as it stands now, you gave out 3 permits for Mason Road, those 3 homes. Now you had possibly 3 in front of you for tonight. And you still might have to be responsible for 22 more in the future.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
he'll be joining the meeting in just one moment.
Okay,
My apologies.
no problem.
He's coming in right now.
Okay.
Mary. I'm not hearing anything.
Where are you?
Okay.
Hello?
Hello. Oh, hey.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was supposed to be there. I thought it was going to be a routine extension. I missed the last few minutes of your conversation while I was trying to tie in on the Zoom video. So last I heard, you were talking about anybody coming along or whatever. I was getting concerned about it. I know it's been over 2 years, but I've been trying to sell the project. I thought it was going to be a no-brainer. We got a lot of people in Dudley who have contacted me since the start that are interested in actually purchasing a 55-plus home. And I was surprised it took this long, but we wanted to try one more extension because we have a developer that seems very interested in going, and we're negotiating right now a purchase and sale agreement. It's news to me that the permit doesn't go with the sale of the property, because what does it matter who owns it as long as they follow all the regulations and requirements that were stated in the original approval. So does it matter if me or John Smith is the one that owns it? As long as they put in the 8-inch main and they connect it to streets, and you meet all the requirements. I don't get what the problem is with the permit not going with it. I paid $350 last year to extend it. I don't think there's any expense to the town, so that's pure profit. I'm going to probably be paying $350 again for an approval letter. And we're right close to selling this, so we would appreciate it if you would extend it, for at least 6 months to a year. And depending on how long it takes for this developer to get started. And it was my understanding, and I don't see any reason why, a permit approval, as long as it meets all the requirements, that you've set forth, why I can't have that attached to the sale. And if the new owner wants to change anything, then it's back to square one and he's back to the board. But my understanding is that the developer that's looking right now is an experienced person completing a project right now in Worcester County, very similar. And I don't expect that he'll try to put in anything different than what you're asking for, what you're telling me that I need to put in. So I'm throwing myself on your mercy.
Okay, good to see you again. The concern has been in the past, and I go from just from memory, that what happens is a development like this is developed, and then the rights to it are sold, and then we've had them in the past where they've been sold and then they've been resold again, and in the meantime, there's a tie-up of potential permits. In the meantime, other things come along in other parts of town, and it makes it hard to budget our water, so to speak. We know that we're encumbered for this project and this project, but as those push out for years, for however long, it just makes it difficult to know where we stand as far as capacity and what we're using. That's the concern with having them extended out year after year after year. Like I had said earlier, I thought we had discussed this a number of years ago and had developed a policy for it, but I can't remember it right now, so I can't discuss it. It may have just been a discussion that didn't lead to anything. I don't remember. It's been I think we were still in the old town hall at the time, so I think it's that far back. But in any case, we have heard from the a potential developer. I don't know if it's the one you're dealing with or not, but we have heard from them that they are interested, or George has, anyways. So, do any board members have any questions or concerns?
Well, Mr. Chairman, Tom Punya here. With the sewer connection, I know over 20 years ago, we put a bylaw on the books that any sewer permits are not sold with the development. It's okay for but it was always okay for a new developer to purchase a property and come back before the board to present what they want to do. But as actually going as part of the deed, we put a bylaw in.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that before. I've just never read it, so I can't speak from knowledge. So I'll have to accept your explanation of it. I remember a previous commissioner bringing this up before as well. Okay, now this is okay. Is this actual permit or is this, yeah, it is. Okay, that's tying up connection. The concern is more on the water side anyways, not necessarily on the sewer as far as capacity is concerned. Sewer, I think we're in pretty decent shape.
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
Just as a recommendation, maybe we ought to offer a 6-month permit and kind of cut it in half, because if it's going to be an honest to God sale or development, it's going to happen within that time frame. It's just to be fair and to be a little bit giving, but also to be fair to ourselves. So anything past that point, all bets are off.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
2 years ago, when we looked into this project, I remember bringing it up how we didn't want the wastewater going down to the pump station on 10-Yard Road. We wanted it going out gravity towards that. And we also wanted the water main gridded from Airport Road to Dudley Hill Road. And along with that, there were substantial fees for sewer and water tie-ins for the approximate 22 buildings that came up somewhere like in the $60,000 to $70,000 range due to the sewer department and the water department.
That comes when the work is done, yes.
Yes, but is this potential developer or potential buyer aware of that? That he is also going to have those costs associated with his site work development.
I would hope that's all part of development. What we're discussing now is holding the ability to tie in. That it's just the ability to tie in, the availability. The individual tie-ins and everything else are all part of the actual work when the work is done. That's all this. That's where we're at this point.
The purchase and sale agreement that we're currently negotiating has clauses in there that require us as the seller to make the potential buyer aware of all permits, anything that we know about it.
Mhm.
And I am meeting with that person Friday. So I already have a packet of materials, part of which is my notes from the original meeting when you gave me permission to tie in water and sewer. And, with what I wrote down for the fee schedules, the main connection fee, you were going to waive one of the 8-inch main fees because it was going to grid the system. So it helps out the town. And, I have the responsibility, and it's the right thing to do, to tell them everything I know about it. This sewer permit not going with the sale to the developer is a shocker to me. It's the very first I heard about it. And I've been to the meeting now originally and then again last year. So I don't know how that's all going to go. And I don't even know why I would be paying a permit fee when I can't deliver the permit to the person buying it.
Because the permit was, I'm sorry to interrupt. The permit was for you to do a connection. It wasn't for you to sell the connection.
I have never made a secret of the fact that I was trying to get permission and a plan accepted, and I was going to sell it to a developer because I'm a retired gas guy. I'm not a developer.
And I don't, I'm not trying to be, and I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, for speaking up, but I'm not trying to put a kibosh on. I don't see a new developer coming before the board and us not okaying it. It's just the stipulation that the new developer needs to come with his plans to show us what they want for sewer. That was the original bylaw, because I was on the board many years as a sewer commissioner, and we had people coming in and said, "Oh, I bought this property and they already paid the connection fee back that when I bought it from, and the sewer they laid wasn't what we have paid on the original one."
Well,
so that's why we put the bylaw in over 20 years ago.
I can certainly see your point there. It's never been my intention nor my expectation, to say, hey, put in whatever you want. I got a permit. The permit was very specific in terms of the pressurized main on the sewer out to Dudley Hill Road, because there hasn't been any capital improvements to the pumps down by Tanyard. So the system is, no longer capable of handling the town's flow. So we got to, do other measures. And they're aware of that. I'm aware of it. I'm grateful that you mentioned that you think that they wouldn't be denied a permit,
No,
because I'm sure that if I was a potential developer buying this project, that I'd like to have some expectation that if I met all the requirements that Bob Ruda met, that
Yes,
permit would be extended.
I do not see, speaking as one commissioner, I do not see a problem, but I know that was the reason why the bylaw was put in over 20 years ago, is to have the current developer come before the board.
Oh, I don't see that as a problem. I just, I'm concerned about how they'll, I'm trying to market it as a development that's been approved by the town of Dudley. It's been specific plans, well over $100,000 worth of engineering. So, I think that everything is pretty well specified in the plan, and that when and if they buy it, that's what they're buying, that particular plan, which includes the sewer and water lines that we have been permitted for by your board under your regulations and requirements. So it's my assumption then that the water permit, if you extend it, will be sold with the development if it gets sold. And it'll be in effect with all your associated fees. And the sewer permit, I guess, will not go with it, but I could tell the potential buyer that we fully expect that if he comes in with the same intentions and plans that I did, he would get a permit.
I personally, as one commissioner, I don't see a problem saying that. I mean, if I voted to approve yours, I can't honestly not, if somebody else came with the exact same plans, I could not honestly not approve those.
That's fair enough. Thank you.
okay, any other discussion?
Just want to ask a question to Bob. Bob, I forget, was that gravity line going to work on its own, or were you going to have to put sewer pumps in each house?
Because we can't tie into Airport Road, which would have been probably gravity, and we were then going with the pumps for each unit.
So,
In order to get all the way out to Airport Road.
Well, the plan now, as I understand it, is that, and I had talked to Jay about it, he thought maybe we should look into like a pump station, on a private pump station that would, rather than everybody having their own pump. I think that's what you were suggesting, Jay, the last time you and I spoke.
yeah, well, that's why, I mean, we're talking about the job, but in other words, there's never a real engineered sewer plan for that job yet.
I think the plan now that the planning board approved has I believe would it be a 2-inch pressurized main?
Possibly with E1 pumps in each house, right?
Yeah, that's the plan right now.
With an E1 pump in each unit.
Yes.
My concern, Jay, with a main pump station is who's responsible for it.
Oh, we know that. I know what you're saying. I just, like I say, it's been 2 years and we know it's simple to connect the water. It's, but I just couldn't recall what our talks were with the sewer system. That's all. And I just remember we didn't want it going into the Tanya Road pump station because that's overworked now.
Yeah, that side's pretty much at capacity.
So that answers my question, and it looks like if everything goes through, they're all individual pumps for each home into an engineered force main.
That's my understanding, Jay.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, do we have a motion?
Are we looking for a 6-month extension or a year?
Bob, what do you see for time frame for?
Well, what I see and what usually happens are usually two different things, but
Yeah.
I'd be quite surprised if this goes longer than 6 months. I suppose it would be in my best interest to look for a year, but in all honesty, we are right now in negotiations with the person that looks most capable of building this, experienced, and at this point seems to want to build it. So I would expect that we will have an answer on yes or no on that person within a couple of months anyway. So if you go 6 months, it should be adequate.
Okay,
And if
well,
this
sorry.
falls through, then I'm out.
Okay, well, I thought somebody was saying something. Okay, what happened here? Okay, go ahead. So do we have a motion?
Allow a 6 months extension, if he's okay with that.
He-
My only concern with going a year and not, only because we're setting precedent of how many times we're going to extend. If we do it for one, we have to do it for everybody. And if he's okay with 6 months, I'll make a motion to extend permits for 6 months.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I would have one question. to the
Go ahead.
chair.
Go ahead, Bill.
Getting back to the original question, how many extensions you're going to give and what's the policy for the number of extensions? What constitute an extension? 1 year, 6 months? Are we going to go down the stream of shortening the time length so that somebody can make a sale and then have to face a developer later on who wants to pursue the plan, but for whatever reason, we're hesitant to award the plan? Don't we owe him some kind of protection too, and just give the 1 year extension or no extension? Given a 6 month convenience extension just doesn't seem right to me.
Like I stated, I think we're setting precedent for if we're concerned about how many extensions we're allowing, the next person can say, we gave this person 3, why aren't you giving it to me?
Yeah. And is that 3 years or 6 months,
Well, it'd be a total of 2.5 years.
Well, how many extensions can we give? Or how many extensions are we willing to give?
For I know we had this discussion in the past. I know I just read through the bylaw book that the regulation book that we have, and I don't remember seeing it there. That's what's got me concerned. But it may have been a discussion that just never went anywhere. But yeah, there was a concern about them dragging on, but I know they were dragging on far longer than 3 years. These were at the time they were dragging on for 5. It was the mill. It was the first time the mill wanted to be developed, and they were dragging on with a water permit there for I think that one was dragging on for 5, 6, 7 years before it was finally dropped.
Well, Mr. Chairman, sorry,
Yep.
Can I interrupt, Mr.?
Go ahead.
If you haven't found so to say bylaw about it, limited it, then I don't think we can limit him to a 6 month. We need to give a year and then revisit this on a later date to come up with a bylaw limiting extensions.
I would agree with that.
I think I would agree with it as
We've
well.
already done I'm sorry, if we already done it for more than 3, we can't not deny him.
If I remember right, the guy, these are going back a while. That mill has been sitting there for quite a while empty. When they first wanted to develop it into apartments, I want to say that dragged on for quite a few years. George, do you remember that?
I thought 3 was what we were limited at, in what I remembered, but this was way back, but it did drag on.
Yes, that dragged on for a long time, and and we had significant water shortage at that time as well.
Was that for water or sewer?
Water.
So what Tom's point is that the sewer doesn't extend to the new buyers.
Right. Nothing about, there's no problem with
Right, the
extending
extension.
a extension on the sewer. I just want it known that,
They have to come back before the board.
yes, that's all.
Did you say,
So,
yeah?
Mr. Chairman, can I amend my motion from 6 months to a year? And then we'll have to put this on the agenda for a future meeting, whether we want to a limit on extensions.
Yes.
Talk about the bylaw.
It sounds like I would be agreeable to that. I don't know what the wishes of the rest of the board are.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that was kind of along the lines of where I said we need to start making some formal policies.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
So I think this would be a good one to start with if you'd like to add that to the next agenda for a starting point for our policies, but I agree. I would second Tom's motion and then
With the
try to
amendment?
yeah, on the amended,
Yeah.
the amended motion.
I would agree with that.
That's okay. I guess we have our first agenda item for our April meeting. And who knows, maybe when we come out with it, we'll, well, never mind. Okay, so, motion's been made and seconded to grant a second, 1-year amendment,
Extension.
extension. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, with that being, with no further discussion, all in favor, roll call?
Tom Funya, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Baseball, aye.
Bill Connolly, aye.
Scott Sikowski, aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Mr. Ruda, Chief, you're only one of a couple that I still use that for. But in any case, you've got the another year extension on to go with those. I guess when you talk with that developer, just let them know that they'll need to make an appointment to come and see us soon after, so that we can firm everything up and get things going for them.
Well, I want to thank you all for your concern and for your support. I think, the town wants to have development and broaden the tax base. And, I think that by extending it and allowing us, this additional time to make this development possibly happen, it's in the best interest of the town to encourage some, development. And so my understanding is the water permit, I can guarantee that more or less to the buyer, but the sewer permit cannot be guaranteed, but it could be expected to be granted as long as he meets all the requirements that I had.
Exactly.
So if nothing changes, then nothing changes.
Right.
So-
It just, and I apologize, you weren't told of it. It was a bylaw 20 years ago. And, I knew it because I was on the board at the time. And I just thought it was a regulation that went out with the permits and okay, it's not transferable.
Well, I appreciate your filling me in, Tom, and your honesty, and in the same sense of honesty, I think that we have an agreement here, even though it's not cast in concrete, that if he comes in and meets all the requirements,
Exactly.
they'll be granted.
Yeah.
It's 22 connections at the most of 55 plus housing. And
that will be good
hope
for
he
the,
comes in and introduces himself to you. I hope that we make the deal.
I hope it happens also for you.
I appreciate that because it's getting old. Starting to turn into a career.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm happy to be a member of this town, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good night. Okay, I guess let's go back to the public hearing, rate increase. So I guess pursuant to the rules for public hearings, I'll call the public hearing open at 7:38 p.m. to discuss the rate increase schedule for that we had from last year. So it's 2 years ago we had a rate study. A year and a half ago we had a rate study. We commissioned a rate study with Ty and Bond. They put it together for us, and with that was a schedule for over 10 years to deal with capital improvements and increasing costs over the next 10 years. I'm sorry, and now I'm going to have to get out my magnifying glass because I can't read this chart. We are talking about for fiscal 2022, I believe, right? Or is it 2021? The line that we're supposed to deal with, 2022?
2022.
2022.
Yes, okay, so we're looking at a, oh, okay, I was gonna say zero, but that's a pro forma. No debt exclusion, 2022. We are looking at an 18% increase on water and a 15% increase on sewer. So that's what we're looking at for this year. Is there anybody from the public or anybody who wishes to anyone who wishes to make a comment on it or has any questions on that?
Some of this other information too.
Okay, anyone?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if we should ask Mr. Faulkner if there's been any changes based on some of the capital projects that we're currently looking at.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
this is Jeff Faulkner from Ty and Bond. I can take that. And I also have Mike Schrader with us from Ty and Bond, who's spearheaded the rate study. We have taken a quick look at some modifications with the plan based on the ever-changing needs of the department. There are some additional projects that are being discussed and slated, but at this point, I think it might be too early to modify the plan. Would maybe suggest that once some of the dust settles with some of the upcoming projects, that maybe six months down the road, we do a formal update of the 10 years, so that you understand the 10-year implications to the upcoming projects. There's some funding that still needs to resolve itself. You have some grant applications that are still being reviewed by the state. So don't want to push the rates up, or recommend pushing the rates up too much without, some feedback from the state on your grant applications.
That's for sure, because grant money, is certainly, welcomed at this point.
Certainly, we wouldn't recommend lowering the rate increase that we suggested a year ago.
No, I know, in discussion with someone the other day, or a couple weeks ago, was a thought of approving a number of years, so we didn't have to keep coming back. But I think, at this point, we're gonna need to, explore this, the schedule, on an annual basis at least.
I agree.
At least for the next year or two. Just
and you-
because there's so many moving parts.
And you might also remember when you approved it last year, it was only for half a year. So you have not really received the revenue in full yet to interpret the implications of the first year's rate increase.
That's,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
with all the projects we have coming online, we have to do a rate increase. I mean, we do not have the capital to pay for them.
oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through you, Tom, I don't think we were
go ahead,
saying
Bob.
not to do a rate increase. I think it was proposed at one point at one of the meetings to approve a couple years at the same
Yeah.
time, which I don't think is a prudent thing to do. I think we should be looking at it annually anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree, Bob.
was,
Uh,
yeah.
Could
Just
I
throw it
ask,
out there for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask that we actually publish the recommendation for the next 10 years, just so we're not blindsiding the public?
I believe it is published. The entire rate study is published. And these charts are right out of the rate study. Actually, this chart was put together with,
My concern is how many, not, I don't want to say normal, but how many regular homeowners have looked at the rate study? Or
yeah, I don't know.
if we could send it out with.
We can put it out there. We can put it out there again, publish it out on the town's website.
I would include it in a package of a notice going out to people about a rate increase.
The
And
only,
maybe we could explain to them that, due to PFAS and these other projects and everything else, and the fact that the system infrastructure needs to be modernized, these are the best guess figures we have that we've got in the future, and they will be addressed on an annual basis. I mean,
I don't think I can agree with actually mailing out the entire. The rate study is 11 pages long.
Oh,
I would give them I just give them the rate increase page.
Well, without any background, what I think might be a good idea is to, in the rate study, because a notice of increase will have to go out. I think adding a statement on the bottom of it for more information and background as to this rate increase and future rate increases, please see such and such on the Town of Dudley website. I think that would I think that would probably be the best way to deal with it, is to send out that much paper. It's going to be a huge expense in paper and postage.
But Mr. Chairman, could we, a one page out with the bills saying, okay, this is projected rate increases for the next 10 years and a list of the projects we need to pay for?
We can, I mean, if that's what the board wants to do, like I said, I don't think you can, we tried to do a simple education on a single page, and that, we saw how that came out, to try to put enough information on there that wouldn't,
even if it's 2 pages, Mr. Chairman. I think this is very important to the homeowners to know.
I agree with you, Tom.
Mr. Chairman.
I
Okay,
think at least
go
a
ahead.
page that shows the rate increases and projected rate increases, and then a statement of the major projects. And then you can refer them for the full, complete study, go to the town, page and look it up. But for transparency's sake, I would think that we ought to show people what will happen. And I would address and say, and that these are without any kind of debt overrides. And if we get debt overrides, this is what will happen. Because when we have to go for debt overrides, people will have a better understanding why the hell we need them.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
in general, I want to say, I think you guys do a great job. And you're really doing exactly what we want, which is make informed decisions. But I have to feed on to what Jeff said earlier, is we're really in flux right now and looking at some, not only project funding, but some changes in projects and things that due to the PFAS are not nailed down. There's a good chance that these year, FY22 that you're talking about, go ahead with that. There's a good chance it's going to change next year. And as much
Or
as
a higher.
applaud
Sorry.
being, yes, as much as I applaud being transparent, I'd be concerned that issuing or showing that 10 years and then the very next one come back with something different would be problematic. I also wanted to chime in that what we did for this sort of informally, and what I would suggest you do every year, you can say, once we stabilize, and Jeff, jump in if I'm off base here, but once you stabilize what you need to do for the PFAS and the treatment and the grants, and you resolve all that, then it's going to stabilize a little bit more. And you can show those projected increases and changes. And what I recommend, or what I like to see is kind of what we did here, is we just check in every year on the projections on what we thought was going to happen. And then you see back and say, well, what did happen? So I'm happy to report that the usage was a little bit up from what we projected. Revenue was a little bit up. Expenses were actually a little bit down. So it's good. You had a good year and it checks in well. But like I said, until some of the capital costs, you're just right in a moment where everything's still gelling and it's hard to say what it's going to look like 3, 4, 5 years from now. So that's my only concern, was that it might end up just causing more confusion later when you're not that far away from being able to get a better idea on that.
Mr. Chairman, my concern is we've raised it last year, we're raising it again. And if we don't say something and then go to raise it again the following year, we're blindsiding them.
Well, you did release this.
We did. My concern is how many people have seen it.
Yeah, well, I hear you.
Mr. Chairman, quick question. Can we ask Jen? I thought there was discussion between Jen, Brian at one of the meetings that we needed to get notification out to the public prior to, the next billing cycle. I'm just not sure if Jen, if we had followed through with any of that, or.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
We would send out, once the rates were increased, we would send out a notification that the rates were increased in the April billing, so that they would know that the rates would be increased for the July billing. And we
Okay.
would state what the increase was. And just as an FYI, if you send something out, a one-page item in something like this, you're looking back at, I looked at back costs, you're looking at almost $1,000.
I understand there's going to be a cost involved, but I think it's important for the homeowners to know it's coming. And none of us want to get 1,000 phone calls at their house or have, 100 people down the town hall bugging you. I don't want to say bugging you, but asking questions. I'm just thinking if we can inform them ahead of time of this is what we're projecting for 10 years.
If I could just make one more comment, Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
So the rate study, I believe, was dated May of 2020, and it's a snapshot in time as of that date. And I believe that the board did do their due diligence at that snapshot in time to share that 10-year projection with the public. This is a public hearing, so the board has done their due diligence to advertise this public hearing so that the public can hear this and comment on this. And it is also common for water departments to, when they send out bills, potentially send a link in the billing stuffer with the link for more information. So just wanted to provide those three things that the board has done or can do without incurring a lot of extra expense.
I'm trying to be, and some people might laugh at this, trying to be as diplomatic as possible. But after the last couple of months, people won't call. People won't go down to the office. Some will, some will. And a majority of the folks that are gonna have any kind of question are gonna ask them on social media.
Right.
And
I agree.
And nothing good comes of that.
But they're asking those, Mr. Chairman, they're asking those questions because they don't have the information.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
They did have the information. They just choose not to read it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I can tell you that when we sent out the rate increase for last year, which we sent out on a stuffer, we always send it on a brightly colored piece of paper.
Right.
The majority of my phone calls were, I didn't know that the rates were being increased. Why wasn't I informed? People do not read not all, but I will say the majority of my phone calls, the people do not read what is in the bill. I'm being honest with you. They do not read.
I fully understand. And in reading a lot of social media and in answering questions about what's going on in social media over the last couple of months, we can send out a 75-page book about what's going on. Or we can send out a brightly colored half-page or single page notice of rate increase with the link. We can send out either or, and we're going to get the same result.
But Mr. Chairman,
We got a couple people that are going to call and ask intelligent questions. 90% of it is going to be, or the 90% of the reaction is going to be flames on Facebook.
but Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
but because of those few people on Facebook that like to, I don't want to say start a fight or, inflame something, do we not then just stop trying?
Most
inform
of the
them?
people were flaming us aren't even customers.
I know, but do we stop trying to inform the customers, Mr. Chairman?
We can spend thousands of dollars on mailers. Sure, we can do it. It's a vote of the board. I will vote no. Simply because it's not money well spent.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think hearing what Tybon had to say and reflecting on what you've talked about, what Tom has said, I have to go back and say I begin to support your original idea, and that was to send out the notice of the increase and refer people to look up the rate study and read it. And that is sufficient enough. It's transparent enough. And I think it does satisfy our requirements to keep the public informed and let them know where we are. And if they're looking at the rate increase, and if we end up being able to modify the 2023 rate down from another 18%, which 22 is going to be an 18% increase if we approve it. People will be happy to see that. That being said, I don't think we have to publish the whole rate schedule as you had said.
My
Okay.
only concern is,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, my only concern is we are showing them with this colored paper that we raised the rates 18%. But we're not telling them if possible of the following year, another 18%. So we're actually not giving them any advanced, well, I don't want to say warning, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we're raising the rates. Well, okay, the way, and I know we need it. Believe me, I sit there with you guys and we see the bills and we know what's coming. My concern is the public doesn't know it. I mean, if we decide not to inform, that's fine too. I mean, we can all just deal with the consequences when somebody comes up to us and says, hey, you raised my bill last year 18%. Why are you doing it again this year?
we discussed this stuff month after month after month after month. Minutes are published. We had a public presentation of the rate study, all 11 pages, all on the screen. It's out there. All this information is out there. People don't read it. I mean, like I said, it's going to be the will of the board what to do with it. But in any case, right now we're in a public hearing about the rate study. If we don't have anybody from the public to talk about it or to ask questions, then I would suggest that we close the public hearing, and then we can make a motion, whatever it is, and discuss that outside of the public hearing, because there's nobody here from the public to discuss it. So that's go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay. I don't believe we have to have a motion anyway, but yeah, okay.
I'll second it.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Bill Conley, aye.
Tom Ponya, aye.
Baseball, aye.
Scott Sikowski, aye. The public hearing is closed at 8 o'clock. Okay. What is the will of the board as far as
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a couple questions? The first one to Jeff is, what date will we implement this 18% increase? Which billing cycle?
So it would go into effect July 1st. So the next bill that goes out after July 1st.
Okay, so that doesn't get, on the next thought is, in the past, we've always sent out a notification of an increase.
Right.
And I'm on the side of, even if it's not a full page, just a third or a quarter of a page with the statement, with the bona fide facts, let's say from Ty and Bond, why we're receiving this 18% on the water and 15% on the sewer. But this goes into the new fiscal year. Are we going to read meters prior to that?
Yes, we have another billing cycle in between now and then.
So that's when that statement would have to be.
Statement will go out with the April bills.
That's what I'm getting at. That statement would have to go in a stuffer with the April bill to let the public know that there is this percentage cost coming up this way here. If we do that, they can't throw it back in our face again. We gave them ample warning. If they can't take the 5 minutes to open up the bill and see what's in that envelope, and they certainly read the bill, they should be able to read the statement that comes with it.
And I'll let me correct myself a little bit here. A majority of people do read it. They read it and they understand it and they move on. We don't hear from them. We never hear from the majority. You get a certain number of people that will grouse about it, and I get it. That happens. And nobody wants to have to pay more. And I'll be honest, some people can't pay more. Have very great difficulty paying more. And I certainly understand that. The majority of the stone throwers, flamethrowers, or whatever you want to call them, aren't even members of aren't even users of the water and sewer department. But that is the case, and then there are those that just find great joy, I guess, in
Tickling the mail.
in flaming Facebook.
Mr. Chairman, on the same subject, I believe we all received an email earlier where town council is raising their rate approximately $10 per hour. So they're telling us that they're raising their rate. I think it's only fair that we put a stop.
We have to. We're required to tell them that the rates are going up. And we do that. So, in any case, can we get a motion as far as the water and sewer rates for 2022?
I make the motion that we increase the water rate by 18% and the sewer rate by 15%, effective on the 1st of July, 2021.
I'll second the motion.
The motion's been made and seconded. Okay. And of course, okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, we'll call a roll call vote.
Bill Connolly, aye.
Chase Paul, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Tom Fournier, aye, only because I know we need it.
Scott Zukowski, aye.
I would make a motion, Mr. Chair. I'd make a motion that we send out notice in the April billing that we intend to raise the water and sewer rates due to pending infrastructure, future projects and costs.
Okay. Yeah, I believe we're required to do that anyways, but yeah, if you want to discuss
second that.
what's put into that notice, that's fine. But I believe we're required by law anyways to send that notice out.
Right.
But okay, motion's been made and seconded to send the notice out in the April billing. Any further discussion? All in favor? Roll call.
Bill Connolly, aye.
Tom Fournier, aye.
Chase Paul, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Scott Zukowski, aye. Okay. Whew, okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
can we take item number 10 and swap it with item 11, bring item 11 up first? Because Jeff's here and
I was just gonna go there to
Okay, great.
take up any other business that tie and bond is needed for, so that we can let them leave if they need to leave. Okay, the Station 3 project.
If you want, Mr. Chairman, I'll start it off real quick and then Jeff can put his input. A lot of you know what's going on down at the, hello?
Excuse me, George, Mr. Chairman, I need to step away for a few minutes.
Okay,
as a lot of you know, I mentioned this fact that we are going to be doing blending soon, that the Station 3 project is almost complete with the new well 7. There is some electrical work still needed to be done, and some parts had to be ordered to conform to our old electrical panels in the station. That being said, the blending will commence after DEP approves it, some testing is done, and so forth and so on. That blending operation is only going to take me so far as we have to see where the station levels will be, where the GPMs are going to be, and how much we can run the stations. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, my screen went kind of blank here. When we blend Station 3 and Station 6, as you know, they're going to be working together. Station 3 is going to be probably compromised to reduce down, because that's the more affected station, so that the blending will work. And I'm just making this real quick and fast and all that. And Jeff can also elaborate later. But in the times of real trouble, we need to get full capacity out of Station 3 or more to keep our storage supply up and keep our redundancy good in the tanks. I don't think I'm going to meet those demands in the summertime. I'm already pumping up to 700,000 gallons a day, even in the winter. And that's, of course, because of the COVID and people home. But another second, last year we were at 24 with both stations. So the idea is right now is after the blend is to research and I know a lot of you know what I'm going for, but a temporary vessel, carbon fiber GIS vessel to be placed at Station 3 to be tied into the well 7 pipeline that we just did, so that we can mitigate and control the PFAS directly at Station 3, which would be a better situation aside from blending. It'd be we'd reduce a lot of other things with that filter too. And I could run that station now at full capacity or even more, give Station 6 a bit of a rest, because the draw on that station is limited to 288,000 gallons a day on average. It is a weaker station, and it would probably help me get through the season better and more efficiently, where I won't run into trouble trying to refill tanks. The only drawback to this is a couple things. One is getting the vessel. We need approval tonight to appropriate the money, which we have some of it, to put it down on a vessel, a lease to purchase a vessel where we can lease it to start, use it at Station 3, and then when the treatment center is ready to be completed at 6, move it over to 6 as a second vessel. I think it'll be 2 vessels there, and I may be wrong, which would save already some money because we've already purchased it. Jeff and I have talked. It's a good idea. It's probably our best way to go. I've even talked to Bob Boswick at DEP for about an hour today and explained that. He thinks that's a good idea. There are some drawbacks to a single vessel for maintenance and things like that, but that's a chance I take. I have contingency plans for 24-hour shutdown of 3 if I have to or more, or ask for a notification process if it goes that far. The other thing is that it's roughly a $750,000 expenditure for that unit for at least 2.5 years of working. And I'm just roughly in that area. I don't know how long treatment center will be done for. We usually base it on roughly 2.5 years. I'd like to take the 350 that's already been used for the main project to that station that's been approved by the town treasurer to use to start off. And then the town treasurer and myself had a discussion regarding some more borrowing that he recommends us taking, about $1 million in a 10-year note. He says you keep having issues with more and more things that you need to do and purchase. He says it's very prudent to take $1 million, put it out 10 years. If you use all of it, you use all of it. If you don't, you take what you need. And my recommendation to him was that we broaden it out for all 3 stations for PFAS mitigation and for rehabilitation of the stations. So it covers a wide variety of issues. But we would also take initially 400,000 of the remaining 750, 350 and 700 and 400 to make 750 from that borrowing of that $1 million also to finish off the deal for the temporary treatment. I think that's the way to go. Everybody seems to be in agreement with that. I think we can blend for a little bit. But in the end, the PFAS is erratic. The readings come back erratic. We could all of a sudden one day be faced with, oh, we can't blend because all of a sudden some reading went up, and they've been up, they've been down, they've been up and then down. I can't go that way. We've got to be kind of smart here with this. So that's my recommendation. I like approval, and Jeff will speak a little bit more, but I like approval basically to go forward with this project to start doing what we have to do to get that going.
Mr. Chair, do you want me to speak?
Sure,
that?
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bill. Yeah.
So
Go ahead,
I'll take a step back. So the blending project is the pipe is in, and as George mentioned, the electrical work at pump station number 3 is continuing based on some information that we've been discussing with George and the electrician. I think that's a couple more weeks for the physical work, and then some samples and tests have to be done. So I would expect maybe at this point, early April, that blending water main would be active. As George mentioned, the PFAS numbers, they're not exactly consistent from test to test and from site to site. So there is a concern that the blend won't fully meet your needs to stay underneath the regulatory limit in the interim period of the permanent solution being implemented. So the discussion has been had to consider temporary treatment for PFAS. And that has been discussed to be at the Well 7 site at this point. Your last meeting, I believe you voted to move or use up to $350,000 of your previous appropriation towards that goal. That leads, and the cost estimate presented to you 2 weeks ago was that temporary project would cost around $750,000. Again, that was a preliminary number before engineering has been proceeded forward, so it was just a preliminary conceptual number. But where that would likely be leading is to see if you would recommend that a town meeting article be placed on the Springtown meeting for $400,000, which is the difference between the estimate of 750 and the 350 that you've already appropriated towards that temporary PFAS project. If George would like to add additional monies for other purposes for temporary PFAS, you could also consider that, but at a minimum, we would recommend the town meeting article for $400,000, which may be coming from retained earnings as an option. The process to do temporary treatment is not just to talk to a vendor to get a filter vessel ordered and bring it to the site, whenever they're ready. It's an engineered process that has to be approved by permitting agencies and any associated local town boards that would need to be involved. So the first step for this board would be to proceed forward with engineering of that preliminary, of the temporary PFAS system. So Ty and Bond is working on a proposal to send you for next week if you're so inclined to implement a temporary PFAS system. And that would likely lead towards a couple of months of design and permitting. And only at such a time that it is permitted by DEP would we suggest that you engage procuring any actual materials or equipment.
Okay, what are we looking at for a potential timeline for getting that online?
So if the engineering and permitting is done in the March-April timeframe, conceivably you could procure it in the June timeframe. We would also have to work with you as to the opportunities to procure it. You're not a regular person on the street that can just purchase things. You have to go a certain legal process to procure anything. That could include public bidding, or it could include some relaxing of public bidding if approved by the State Department of Capital Asset Management. So it would have to be a request submitted to the DCAM office in Boston in order to get away from avoiding public procurement regulations or allowing you to relax some of the public procurement regulations.
Yeah, well, what bidding would extend it, what, about 60 days?
Yeah, 30 to 60 days. But general time frame, we're hoping to get you a temporary PFAS system by the fall.
Yeah. And that's gonna run us into summertime where water use is high.
Yeah, you'd be continuing to blend, and if you did have some water needs, you'd have to ask DEP to stop the blend and just pump all sites at full capacity. The DEP would need to be advised and allow that.
Okay. So the blending would go online and we'd use that as long as we could. And if necessary, then we'd have to ask DEP for permission to unblend. And of course, that would probably mean notifications and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just stepped back in. Sorry to interrupt, but are we still looking to purchase a facility?
That is the direction you gave at your last meeting a couple weeks ago. So the temporary design would be based around purchasing one full-size unit that would eventually be used at the permanent treatment plant. And the eventual treatment plant would have a second one as well for redundancy purposes.
Good. Can I ask also, and I don't know if you already covered it, but the latest testing, what was the numbers?
The latest,
George, yeah.
the latest testing, I had those right here. Let me tell you, I printed half a ream of paper. I didn't realize how big the last PFAS test was. So like 26 pages. I printed the whole darn thing. I could have just printed off a page or two. I believe it was 21 for station 3 and 10 for station 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So that's we're back in line again with what we were hoping for blending.
Mr. Chairman,
The sizes of the stations are backwards to that. So pumping 2/3 of 6 and 1/3 of 3 is to get us at a 15 or 16 is still, that's not that it could be. That's where we're going to end up with some tightness and being sure produce enough water. Go ahead.
Mr. Real quick, that is not saying what well 7 is registering right now. That has not been recently.
Oh yeah, we don't know what 7 is. That's 3. That's the numbers for 3. We don't have any
Yeah.
numbers for 7.
It was lower on the initial test, but that doesn't mean anything right now until we do the first test before we even put it online. But with this, like I said, blending's fine to start off and do things, whatever we have to do. We'll make it work the best we can. But the new treatment vessel there will allow me even to pump that station higher than we're going now. And it will give me quite an advantage to also simmer 6 down a little bit and relax that station a little bit. It's working very hard, and there is a draw limit, and it's already sucking a little bit of air out of the raw water side. So I got to be careful there. And we just, right now, unfortunately, it is what it is. We only got 2 stations. Until third one comes online, we have to grim and bear it.
Okay. But the recommendation is, and I tend to agree with it myself, is that we not actually purchase anything until we get permitting from DEP so that we know exactly what to purchase. Is that correct?
That's our recommendation. Yeah, it's not like going to buy a ream of paper at Staples.
Start to use it.
Okay, so I know we have a list of, in one of the many emails, we had a list of capital improvement articles. I think George and the town treasurer hit a good point. We're probably going to be looking at another $400,000 to complete that temporary treatment. Some of which will be spending that will potentially lower the cost of the permanent treatment plant. But the recommendation of the treasurer at this point, because of low rates, was to increase that up to potentially $1 million instead, and call it PFAS treatment and station improvements, and that way we're not constantly going back and looking for a little bit here, a little bit there. There are some things that we'll be able to go through retained earnings for, but that's all on the capital improvement list. So we've already made a determination that we want to purchase the vessel, not lease it. It'll probably be a lease to own arrangement, but who knows? Whatever the whatever the company is we buy it from agrees to. So that's Station 3. Well, is there any update on Station 1?
Is that to me?
George, did we get any numbers back for Station 1 yet? For the last set of
Station 1 is not under our monthly testing schedule right now.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
The latest numbers was from way back when they did the 48-hour pump test. It was under the limit of 20. Like I said, that is something we're working on further on in the process. Maybe towards the fall, do another test there when it's fully constructed with the wells and with the well pumps in place, and then go from there with some decision making on where that's taking us, whether it be on its own, a temporary vessel, or a transmission main from Station 1 to 6. There's a lot of options still open there. We're kind of getting this part of it done. When I can get this Station 3 up and back to full capacity with PFAS treatment, we can take a little bit of a breath, because I can increase that station higher with a new pump, and it will help me out immensely. But I'm doing one step at a time. The DEP's even telling me, and Justin on me, I'm jumping the gun so fast trying to get all this stuff, but I look at things as they come at me pretty fast, because all of a sudden there's a town meeting you have to address, or a concern from DEP you have to address. So I've got myself into kind of a too fast of a way of thinking, and I'm trying to kick back a little bit and take it one step at a time.
Bureaucracy doesn't move quickly. It just doesn't, and that's. I think you're right in that you just have to kind of.
Mr. Chairman, question for George. Did you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
George, so and I'm sure, is there any chance with the blending, and once you get Station 1 online, that we would be under the limit?
Anything's possible. I just am not. I'm more hopeful of Station 1 than I am Station 3 right now, because I have more results come back from Station 3. But it's just so close, and they're changing so much. And I hate to say this, but we're sort of being penalized in this because we're so right on the limits. 8 points affects us in one way or the other, whether we treat or whether we don't. If you have a system that has a lot of PFAS, which a lot of them do, 8 points doesn't make a difference. They're going to treat, and they're on their way to doing what they need to do. But I'm playing on the cautious side because I've seen these erratic readings, and I've asked the labs about them, and they've pretty much come back to say that it's so low of a microscopic level, they're having some issues registering it without jumping around, and that's the best thing I can say about it. So it is what it is.
I commend you, George. for being proactive. I'm just, hoping maybe that there's a chance that, it's a big bill to swallow.
You're cutting out again, Tom.
Sorry.
Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Sorry.
Okay. I am confident that we're in the right direction where we're going with Station 3. At least that I'm very confident. And there's no confidence in my mind to say that station will go with the blending and continue on like that from seeing what I'm seeing. And also don't forget the capacity of the stations will be reduced and they'll both be 24/7 running. So there's some pros, but there's some big cons to blending too. Blending is going to be temporary. It's a temporary fix. It's to keep us where we need to be, at least try to not hit some MCLs that we don't want to hit. But in the long run, the new treatment center needs to go in place, at least for those two stations, or at least being worked on to start the process. And then the temporary needs to go on to bring us back to our capacities or even better, because I got a new well there now. And where it takes us from there on Station 1, I can't say for sure right now. I just don't know. But at least I'm working like with Jeff and DEP with getting those ideas out there that where will that take us and what do we need to do? So all the plans are being worked on to have contingencies for any possible bad things or good things. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I commend you, George.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I know if we're kind of clear on okay, well, yeah, are we going to continue to move forward with that's right, we have to make a decision. Are we going to continue to explore the have engineered the temporary treatment at Station 3? At Station 3.
I don't think we have a choice.
I think we're in a position where we have to.
Yeah, I think if we're going to be proactive, we have to.
Okay. So so I guess that engineering plan should move forward.
And we'll get you a proposal for next week.
Okay. And then okay, all of our discussion has been on water, but did everybody receive the proposal from Ty and Bond? Yeah, let's move over to sewer for a minute. For the sanitary sewer overflow. When we overflowed at the in front of Marty's, in front of the Station 1 on Christmas Day this past year, when we had that massive rain and the sewer overflowed. That of course was reported to DEP, and DEP is suggesting, I believe, but I think it's in stronger terms than that a evaluation be done to explore assuring that it doesn't happen again. It's happened a number of times there in the past, and we thought we had it fixed, but evidently it's still an issue. So Ty and Bond has put together a down and dirty, quick sewer system evaluation study or survey for that area.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
I don't know if I've talked to Jeff about this. At the time we were talking about this, Mike and I were in conversation about this. They did replace that section of pipe on West Main Street, which has helped for the last 8 years, where we normally would have had issues. The biggest problem that comes to mind, especially in Mike's eyes and explaining it to me better, the pipe on Progress Ave that runs all the way down to Fairview Ave, in the backside by Shinacki's property going down into the Paula Lane area, is going from one size to another. It goes from an 8 down to or a 10 down to a 6, back up. You know, there's numerous sections that keep dropping and gaining. And Mike is firmly convinced that with substantial rain, and I mean substantial rain and snowmelt, there's a lot of, and some infiltration from above where we're working on with the new lining, which would help that even more, that it backs up and comes down Progress Ave and backs up over to there where it ends up going in front of our station and bubbles up. It only took about a day for it to clear out. But we also would like to see the reconstruction for the new pipelining take place. And we think that's going to help mitigate a lot of that infiltration coming from the top side area up by Lyons Road and, you know, the top area of town there. So I'm unless DEP really requires it, which I don't think they're really requiring it, but I'd like to hold off to let the process work out a little bit before we start moving into an area. I don't think it's going to solve the problem.
I agree with you, George. I think we take a wait and see once we get the lining done
Yes.
and see if our flow is less, even if we have to do a flow study on that area.
Well, I believe we paid a lot of money to do an I&I study and to mitigate I&I. So I think that in my mind, that should resolve the issue, unless it was just a strictly piping size issue. But if you eliminate the I&I, we don't have a problem running day to day. It's only during heavy rain events. So that would indicate it's an I&I issue. And if we resolve the I&I, it should resolve the issue.
Mr. Chair, if I
Go ahead.
could add to that.
Okay,
So DEP has asked for this hydraulic study in the spirit of it occurred before the sewer study was finished. So they specifically asked that the downstream reach of this be done and kind of be amended to the report that was just submitted to them. And the goal of the study, it's for, I apologize if not all of you have it, I don't know. I send it in and I only copy the chair, not knowing if I'm allowed to email to the full board or not.
I thought it went to everybody. I didn't look at who it went to.
It's for $9,600. And what it would do is look at the capacity of the pipes for about 5,000 feet downstream of the overflow location, to examine their slopes and inverts, to see if a pipe size issue is the issue. If it is determined that a pipe size issue is the issue, then it's a potential that the ongoing mitigation contract, should it come under budget, under the budgeted dollar value, that the current funding could pay for that as a change order to the selected contractor. So we've had discussions with the SRF representatives on this, and they are favorable to that. They would have to run it by their boss, but that would be the advantage of doing the small study now, if it is determined to be an issue, that it could be paid for under the existing funding.
Under the existing SRF funding?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The $9,600 proposal could not be, but if construction work is deemed required, the construction work potentially could be.
That's under the I&I?
Yes.
SRF?
Yeah. And so, you know, if the board decides not to move forward, I'll just have to report to DEP that the town has decided not to, and, you know, they'll decide whether they want to respond to you at that point.
Okay, yeah, that's the way I understood it, is that DEP had asked this be done. It's for
Yes.
services.
Are they asking or mandating?
Well, they're asking at this point, if you don't do it, then they might mandate.
They could. I mean, they could.
They should talk to us first a little bit.
Uh, uh, man.
Putting us over a barrel.
That's exactly what, thank you. That gave me the right term because I was about to say something that probably wouldn't have been appropriate. But he said that what they're, this look downstream of the pipes is for like I said, the cost is $9,600,
Yeah, you can turn it off.
less than $10,000. And that's, 5,000 feet. That's probably getting all the way down almost, probably, getting down into the Fairview area.
Yeah, near George's Street, near First Ave.
Can I ask how you're gonna check that? I mean, we know the size of the pipes, right?
Yes, so pipes have a certain carrying capacity, not solely by the size of the pipe, but by the slope of the pipe. So a pipe at a steeper angle can carry more water than a pipe at a flatter angle. So we would take the records that are available and use a spreadsheet calculation to determine the capacity of each of those manhole to manhole reaches and determine if you have a reach that is suspect in terms of flow. If it comes back that there aren't any issues from a capacity issue, then then the next step might be something like a closed circuit television of that pipe reach to see if there's any blockages. But that would be a secondary step.
You can figure out the flow that it can handle, but then we need to figure out how much we need to put down that pipe. Yeah,
You're lagging again, Tom.
You know what I mean? How much do we need to go down that pipe?
Correct. Yeah. So a second step would be to.
Are we there?
Can you hear us, Tom?
Hello.
Can you hear me, Tom?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So a part of the study would also make some calculations based on expected flow, based on existing meter data that we have of your system. But everyone is correct that the II removal that we are proceeding with would help this situation as well.
I don't know, at least to me, to me, it sounds like a good idea. It's short money. If we can roll any potential, if it will allow us to roll any potential fixes into the current SRF borrowing, it's even better. We're already borrowing the money. If we can take care of it then, take care of it there, then we're in good shape. But I know, they did ask, and we could say, well, you know what? Okay, you asked. We said no. Okay, the typical child and parent thing. I asked you to do it. You said no. Now I'm telling you to do it. That could happen. I would hope we can keep a better. I think we need to keep a better relationship with the state. But I mean, it's up to the board. To me, it seems like a good idea. It's a small study. It looks like it was 2 months. I think they're
that order of magnitude, yes.
In about 8 weeks time. And I'm sorry, I didn't even think that. I looked at this yesterday. I didn't even think to look at who it went to. If I had seen that, I would have made sure it got forwarded around.
Am I allowed to email the full board? Just a question. I just didn't want to email something if I couldn't send it to the full board.
I think as long as it's for information purposes only and there's no discussion or any agreements or anything based
Okay.
on it.
Okay, I'll do that in the future.
Jeff, through the chair, can you hear me, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. Is it possible right now to ask DEP for an extension of just the fact that we are still in the I&I process of relining? We're just starting it. And to give us time to see where that takes us, or you think they're going to push back and want this study, knowing that we're still relining a lot of areas of the sewer mains?
An extension for the purpose of waiting for the project to be complete.
Yes, something to that effect. Where
I
we
mean-
could maybe test at that point, or wait till a rain comes and see where it takes us.
A rain like that,
Yeah, well, that's the
the
thing.
last time that happened, I can remember, the manhole cover right in front of the town hall, right in front of the post office, between the post office and the fire station, actually lifted. But we didn't have a sewer problem then. So I don't know what we would need to get to that. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to wait for it. And I don't think the state is going to allow us to wait for it, to wait for another problem to see if it happens. I just don't think that's not smart. Not good management, I guess, for lack of a better term. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and you'd also lose the ability to have the current project pay for it at that point.
Mr. Chairman, I think it is short money and we should have it start this project. But just because we borrowed the money, we don't have to spend it. You know, it gives us more information if we have the study done.
That's my point. I mean, do we have, how is the sewer budget at this point? Where are the budgets?
It's kind of weak, Scott. I mean, I don't know when I'd have to do this for the next fiscal year. That's one thing. But if you're talking about this fiscal year, that's another. I mean, yeah, I could pull it out of something maybe. I'd have to look at it closely and see. We might, but that's a large chunk of change. And I don't know if I'd have to do that that's another question. Are we talking next fiscal year? Then I can allot for that.
Yeah, all I'm seeing, I'm just looking at the budgets, the proposed budgets, and what last year,
Did you already take
last year in that line. But I don't know what's left of it in any of those lines.
Yeah, well, that 3,000 came out of our money, and 3,000 is supposed to be shipped for me from him, because that was the agreement. Now, whether or not he honors it or not, I don't even give a shit. I'm taking the money. He can come back and complain. We take him to court, or he can go to court. Yeah. Enough is enough, you know.
George, you're on speaker.
Sewer capital budgeted this year was 25,000. I don't know what has been spent there. I don't know. I don't know what's been spent out of those line items, what's left in it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if we decide to go ahead with the job, couldn't we go to the town meeting, ask to take it out of retained earnings?
I mean, we could, but I mean, it would go, we put it against the budget and then have to take, if the budget ended up out of balance, we'd end up having to take retained earnings to balance it. I don't know. Like I said, to me, it's short money. And it's, if it keeps DEP happy, then we're good. We did have that overflow and they're looking for answers.
Mr. Chair?
And if we continue to look for answers, then we'll be we'll be at least looking in the right direction. Go ahead.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but this is II related. So if there is existing money in the appropriation for the study that we have just completed, it might be possible to use that appropriation rather than budget.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have, without being able to be in the town hall, I don't have numbers in front of me as to what's left from the, oh, you're talking about the recent
The design, or the study and design money.
Yeah.
This is just basically an amendment to that work, as requested by DEP. So if you can't find it in operating budget, then that might be another place to look.
Jen, do you know if there's anything left in that, or how far we've expended that down?
I'm currently trying to look. Give me one moment, please.
Okay. Oh.
Mr. Chairman, if I can ask Jeff a question.
Go ahead.
Jeff, if in doing this process, I mean, I believe you guys did all of the GIS work for the sewer system. Would this money and project include that so that it gets put into the GIS map so we have better records for the future?
So I guess the sewer map has been developed, and you're asking if is the invert information going to be added to the mapping?
Yeah, the invert and slope. If you
For
have
that,
the data, it shouldn't take you very much to throw it into the GIS. So
for
we
that
have it
for that 5,000 foot reach, we could definitely do that. We wouldn't be able to
Okay.
do the whole system.
Right. I just mean for that
Yep.
section. If you got the data, you
Yeah.
might as well add it. So
Sure.
we have it for the future and don't have to do it again.
Yeah, we could do that.
Jeff, through the chair, Jeff, what's the time frame that this would be starting to go through this DEP examination process?
Well, they wrote it to us in an email prior to the SSES report being submitted to them, which was submitted to them February 15th-ish, around that date. And they kind of wanted it as an amendment to that report. So from their perspective, they'd like to get it immediately. It wouldn't be a problem to tell them it's coming in a couple of months, but if we tell them it's coming in a year, that might be a problem.
I'm just saying, like, if we could do this in the next fiscal budget, would be a big help, which is in July.
Unless there's money in.
Unless I can find money, if it comes sooner on, I mean, if you go through the I&I, that's great. I just can't guarantee that right now. I don't know.
Yep.
Unless you know better than I do.
That's a legitimate reason to tell them it's going to come in, July, August.
Okay. I
Mr.
mean, I
Chairman?
would be perfectly good with that.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
there is no money left in the I&I.
Oh, the previous borrowings for I&I that are spent.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can we recommend then get approval to do this at least for the beginning of the next fiscal year, July 1st, when I get a new budget, and then I'll appropriate the money through the new budget to do this project. I'm sure they can wait till at least July.
Okay, you just, that will be beyond will that be beyond the I&I project? No, it won't. Or will it?
No.
For the construction phase,
Yeah.
that'll be ongoing at that point.
What's that?
The construction should be ongoing over the summer.
Right. would it still be able to be added on if we waited that long?
In theory, I mean, we're preliminary. We don't even know what the problem is first, so we don't
No, we
know
don't.
if we
I
could.
know that.
Yeah, so
And
in theory, it could.
where it has been a problem, God, for as long as I've been, for as long as I can remember, before I was even a commissioner, a water commissioner.
Yeah, and that Christmas storm was not only a large amount of rain, but the temperatures were up. So there was 2 feet of snow on the ground, or roughly at that point in time. So there was a lot of snow melt as well.
Yeah, I know, it was an exceptional storm. But you know, we can't say that it's never happened there before. And I
No,
believe
but
it,
Mr. Chairman,
8 or 10 years ago was the last time.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
We don't know how well the lining will help. I mean, it could solve the whole problem. We don't know. So we'll have to at
Well,
least wait.
Some of it could. The other, a lot of the lining, well, half of the lining is being done down in the Brandon Road area, which is
Yeah.
in the
After
other
it.
direction.
Yep.
In the other direction. So that area doesn't even, that goes down goes to the sewer plant through a different pipe.
Yeah.
Doesn't even affect that area. Oh, yeah, but the area up, and I believe that's a lion's share of where the work is being done. There is some work being done up on the Lions Road area. I sat and read through all that report the other day. Okay, so I guess if that's the wish of the board, that we'll hold off on that for a little while then, and see what happens. All right. Was there anything else that we had with Ty and Bond?
Just wanted
Yeah,
to. Okay, go ahead.
I'd just like to hold Jeff here a little bit for the next one on the articles for capital improvement and town meeting. That's all.
That was what I was going to bring up.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Am I okay to go right now to start this, or you had something else you were going to say?
Nope.
Okay. As you know, capital improvement gets involved before any articles are presented at the town meeting, so they go through them too. There's a long list of things here. Don't hold me to all the pricing and all that. And we're just going by what Jeff and I have talked about right now, and some other things that were included for our own needs too. But right now, I'm looking for approval from the board to submit these for capital improvement and for town meeting. And even with submitting these to capital improvement, some of those figures are broadened out because of the unknowns here with the PFAS treatments and other things, rehabilitations and what we're doing. But right now, to start off, we have articles in for asset management plan, which is required by DP, which is working with Ty and Bond. It's $150,000. I'm recommending we take that out of retained earnings because we have the money for that to do that. Okay. I don't recommend using any borrowing for that from anything like the $1 million thing I'll talk about later, but
Okay,
just for that for retained earnings.
That
Okay.
asset management plan, we have to ask for 150,000. The actual cost is only going to be about 30. Because there is, part of it is granted and part of it is in kind service.
Yeah.
So
Whatever we
the
don't
actual
use, we
cost
don't.
is
Yeah.
about 30.
Yeah. So last year, last August, you submitted an application to the DEP for performing this asset management plan. The application was for 150,000, of which 60% was granted as grant, 20% as your cost, and 20% as your services, basically your involvement in the project. So Scott and George are correct that the appropriation needs to be for 150 to document it to DEP, but your actual out-of-pocket costs are 30,000.
Jeff, does it need to be appropriated at town meeting, or can it just be appropriated through our budget?
It needs to be appropriated through town meeting.
Well, can you say that it's appropriated through town meeting as part of our budget? If our budget is approved and we have the line item in the budget.
There's some language that needs to be in there. I'd have to look it up to make sure we need to get that to you.
Okay.
Just to continue on, we'd be looking also for an article, final design permitting bidding for the PFAS water treatment facility, the big one at Station 6. That's just the design process, some bidding, PFAS, for the PFAS. It's not SRF, correct, Jeff?
Correct. SRF does not pay for design.
Okay. I believe we also going for a pump station #1 water main project from pump station 1 to 6. That's to start off the phases with that, and I believe construction also in the future for that. Is that correct?
No, so what we're recommending is that second article be for the design for both the permanent treatment plant and the water main. I had some initial discussions today to see if we can get that water main added to the treatment plant SRF project that you've already received approval for. So the article would both be just for design of the treatment plant and that water main.
Okay, did we have a cost factor on those together? I don't remember.
I don't want to advertise the cost yet. We're in the ballpark of about 500,000, but we're still evaluating the alignment of the water main, so that impacts the cost. So I think I need a couple more weeks before the numbers can be pinned down.
Yeah, I'm just giving them broad numbers anyway.
Yep.
I didn't have an exact one for those two because I got to combine them.
Yep.
But anyway, the final construction appropriation for PFAS water treatment facility for Station 6. We're kind of going into the whole phases like $6 to $12 million, and that's not saying it's going to be 12 or 11 or 10. We're just keep giving out broad ranges because we don't have final figures as to what this is all going to entail. But these are the ones right now, the articles that we need to have presented so we can get them approved. The other one that came in with the town treasurer that I was explaining, and you're reading it here, he recommended the borrowing of $1 million and to be used, stated as rehabilitation and for Station 1, 3, and 6, and to include any PFAS mitigation and control that may be required with that. What we would do with that is on the next line is take 400,000 off that million, because I already have 350 already approved from the former water main project. Include that for the 750 plus or whatever needed for that temporary treatment to start that process going, and for that exact thing. And that's another thing I have to present to the capital improvement and to the town meeting for that. After that, it's just one new pickup truck to replace a 15-year-old truck that's light duty truck that we've been beating out right now. And I dug 3 quotes here, and I get an outstanding price again from Place Motor for $41,736. That includes a plow side, truck side system for the Fisher on the truck side. I can't beat that price. All heavy duty. It's actually an XLT package truck that he already ordered way back, a spec off the one we had because people were liking it. But he's going to even give us a deal on that. It's months away to come out, but right now that'd be the thing to do. I'm looking to beef up our equipment while I can, and also our personnel while I can, because we got a long road ahead of us with all these projects, and it's going to get chaotic around here. Even trying to get our infrastructure back in line, because we've had a bad year with people out, COVID, quarantines. You guys know the story. It hasn't been good. I haven't been able to get my normal routines done, and I got a lot of stuff to add on, plus all the projects that are coming up, including the water main on Mason Road. So I'm just looking for approval for these articles. If there's any questions, or Jeff can correct me or whatever I didn't say right or do right. I'm just looking, and I'm going to go over it with him again when I'm presenting the capital improvement to get some better numbers for them and for the town meeting as we go along.
Is that a utility bid?
No, it's straight. It's 10,000 more for utility, and I'm going to do something to get some.
George.
Yes. Hello.
How much? Can you hear me, George?
Yes. Go ahead.
How many miles on the truck do you have?
About 80,000. The truck's an old Ford small body truck. It was bought as a little runaround truck, and we kept it best we could, but the rust is getting good to it. It still runs. It's good for in around town stuff. I've been taking on that on a lot of excursions to go to labs and out of town to business and stuff, along with hauling with it. It's on the end of its life. But right now, I've got another person coming in, hopefully. And when I do that, I cannot use the box truck, the big box truck, for runaround jobs here. We've already utilized that for too many small jobs and excursions around town. And I don't want to use that. It's fully loaded with heavy duty equipment, and it's not meant for that purpose. And I'll actually be short a truck even if I get this new truck. So I'm looking at even keeping that little truck because there's nothing to keep it on the road, just as a infrastructure, little runaround truck around town to help do our normal maintenance and hydrants and gates and things like that. Because I'm going to run into the same problem again. I'm going to have to use the box truck for small jobs, and that's not what I want to do. That truck's a 8-year-old truck also, and I still have to do some modifications and work on that big truck to keep that going. So this is all infrastructure stuff that has not been done in many years. We've
I
got small
understand,
trucks.
George.
Yeah.
How many vehicles do you have?
Right now, I have the box truck, which you know of, the service truck.
Yep.
Which was John's truck he got in 18 that we turned into a service truck for meters and all that kind of other work, and that little truck. And then I just got this other truck that replaced an 18-year-old F-150 that we got rid of. So this would be the last in the line of trucks for upgrading.
Do you have
our
the
fleet.
box truck plus 3 other vehicles?
I have the box truck. I've got the other service truck now that mostly does all the running around and meter and light work, and any heavy work on the street or main work is done by the box truck. Like I said, you've seen it, you know, it's fully loaded with everything.
I've seen it, George.
Yep. So the other truck we have just got in now is the one the F-350, which was be sister to this truck. It's the one that replaced the 2003 F-150 way back. That is actually delayed by a year because of the COVID. We should have had this truck earlier. So now I'm replacing the 15. I'm taking the place of the 15-year-old truck. That's eventually going to have some issues, but if it kept that light duty and just small stuff around here, that'll allow me to do some projects around town, not to require the use of the box truck. Box truck's had almost 60,000 miles on it, and I don't want to replace that truck. It was a $64,000 expenditure when we spec'd it out. It's
120 now.
Yeah, it's probably going to be 100,000 or more to replace that truck, and I only want to do is do some light duty body work on it and some upgrade. Have MHQ do some work next fiscal year to bring that truck back to some life, so we can keep using that for the next many years.
But my question, George, is besides the box truck, you have 3 other trucks now?
I've got 3 other trucks, and everybody has a truck that they do their jobs with right now.
And then you want another truck, but still keep the old 15-year. So you're gonna have 4 trucks.
Yeah, well, the other one would be shared also with the sewer. They've got 2 trucks there, and I'm trying to keep them away from using some of their big trucks for runaround work too. So that little truck would be actually stationed probably at the sewer department to be used for the new guy and the sewer, and help us if we need it, because we're going to be combined departments doing a lot of the work together. And I don't have enough trucks to go around with. We had 4 guys here back in the day, and
right.
we had the amount of trucks I have now plus 1. So, and then we kept using them, and we started having issues with trucks. So that's why I started replacing it, putting in an article last year for this truck I have now, and it didn't come through till this year. So that's why it looks funny. But right now,
Yeah, I understand. I've seen the trucks, George. And we're trying to, and I understand, in the long run, it's with the amount of money we're spending, it's not a lot of money comparable. But when we're asking the town for anywhere from 6 to 12 million, we shouldn't.
I can't hear what he's saying.
We lost you again, Tom. Lost you again, Tom.
Going over and above what we're spending. You know what I mean? If we keep, Sorry. Are we
Um,
there?
I can hear you now, Tom. I
I'm sorry, am I
understand what you-
back?
Hello?
No, we keep losing you, Tom.
Sorry.
Here, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me now, Tom?
Yeah, I can hear you, George.
Okay. I understand your concern. This is coming out of retained earnings, okay, along with the other stuff I had. And right now, with what's coming at us, and I already know because we're running around, I make trips to Lowell regularly. I make trips to Mansfield. I make trips to all over the world here because of what we have to do with repairing our chemical feed pumps versus sampling versus schooling versus whatever. We'll be going back into the schooling routine. We'll be going out to Holliston many times with all the people to be trained and recertified. Okay. I don't,
Yeah.
if I lose that little truck for any reason, I'm back into the box truck fully again. And also, it impedes me because I'm going to be adding a new person back on the sewer and water side that is going to be going out doing a lot of work. So that was my idea because the truck is on its last leg to at least use it around town and not wear out on it, just to throw a couple things in it to do hydrants or to do gates or whatever.
I understand that, but how often do you send one guy out to do a project without somebody else being there?
No,
Do they
almost
need? I'm sorry. Go ahead, George.
90 to 90% of the time, it's one man only going out to do jobs. And with the PFAS treatment plant coming into operation, Brian is going to be working on that project on all the sampling things he has to do with the stations. He's going to be needing a truck to just be covering with him. You can't believe the amount of work now that we have to do between the trucks, between the stations. And we just touched it. We haven't even gone to the brunt of it yet. So I'm trying to prepare us for a full equipment, so we can tackle what we need to tackle and not worry about a breakdown or losing a truck or whatever. I know it's hard because you guys don't know the day to day what goes on, but it's getting more spread out now, and we haven't even gone close to the construction phases. The Mason Road construction is going to be guys going to be running around all over that, marking out gates, checking on this, checking on people's doing jobs. I just cannot keep using a box truck at 14,000 pounds of weight to go around doing the jobs because I lost the truck or because we're having an issue with another guy now and he needs a vehicle. So that's all I'm asking because I got a darn good deal on this truck, the same as I did the last one, and they're going to go up exponentially next year anyway. So if I even come back to the board and say, okay, I need one now next year, right in the middle of our big events of monies, I'm going to really have a problem because then I'm going to definitely need a truck.
The projects, George, is money we already earmarked. We're going to do the project. So just because we're spending this money before we're actually spending the money for the projects, don't think you're ahead of the game. This is just more money we're spending. And it's, in my eyes, justifying, we're having more vehicles than we're having guys.
That's not true. We will not have more vehicles than guys. We'll have one vehicle that's a main work vehicle that is supposed to just be for big jobs and not for runaround. And we've done that already for the last 3 years. That truck has run ragged. And now,
I know you guys are, George. I guess I'm playing devil's advocate, George.
No, I understand. I appreciate it, and I'm trying to.
If somebody here can get 6 guys and 7 trucks, we have some explaining to do. So,
well, you guys are leaving out the sewer department as part of this equation. We're not talking just
okay,
the
we
water
have
department.
2 guys and 2 trucks, George, at the sewer department. Right?
Tom, I've even had to use the dump truck for a runaround truck to do work.
No.
That's how we were here for a while. But you're talking also the sewer department personnel. We can't have them running around in their big truck either, doing small jobs. With a new guy coming on, there's going to be a lot of little jobs that we can't get to that he's going to be doing. That truck is going to be probably used for him. And the other guys, we're going to be working together with both sewer and water on various other projects, including sewer projects. So I'm probably going to be in the same realm I was before with even with a new truck to get everybody into a vehicle doing what they need to do. There'll be not many people doubling up on work unless it's a bigger job. Most of them will be doing by themselves, doing separate things, especially to catch up on our infrastructure problems.
So I can tell the town if I'm asked that the rarity or we'll ever see two vehicles together?
Correct. You right now don't even hardly see anybody doubled up unless we're picking up something or
Okay.
assisting on something that is too big for one person to handle. Everybody is, and I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate what you're saying. I know it seems a little funky, but don't forget this new truck I just got was a year behind because of the COVID. It was supposed to be done last year and it wasn't. And in the meantime, not only did I overuse the little truck to do jobs, try to do jobs with that, and I broke down in that truck twice already. Once in Rhode Island. Luckily, I was jury rigged to get back to town. Otherwise, you're talking about a tow truck.
Yeah,
But,
no, I've seen the vehicles, George. I know what you're talking about, but
okay, I just want to I just want to get ourselves squared away, set up now. Once I've got this fleet where I need it to be, we're in good shape, and we don't, and I can go ahead and do all these projects and things and not worry about in midstream all of a sudden, I'm asking for more money for another truck or this and that, and I just want to be prepared for everything, and get our crew back a little bit where we can start working on our own stuff. Never mind the project stuff.
I can tell you, George, if I see two trucks together, I'm going to send you a picture of them. How's that?
Okay, sounds good, Tom. Thank you.
Okay, let's throw another question in there. Why wouldn't this be a utility body?
Because I've got two utility trucks now. I need this truck versatile, but we are possibly looking at putting some smaller, flatter toolboxes along the side of it on one of them, just as a caveat for some tools. But I don't require a $10,000 more utility truck to haul small amount of tools, because the other trucks carry everything I need on major jobs. And usually if two guys are working a job, sorry, Tom, usually if two guys are working a job,
they'll have two trucks there, right?
Yeah, I'll have two trucks there, but only because one truck carries everything. The other truck, there'll be a one just to put some toolboxes on, that's all.
Now, if that other truck carrying all the stuff can't carry two guys, George?
A lot of times one truck is there because he's called into a problem, or he goes back. We keep a truck because they have to go back and get more supply or tools. Because once we commit with a truck with tools, it's kind of committed there. You have to break everything back. You break things down, like the stuff you're using. You're in the middle of something. Another guy can run back and get some more stuff that may be required. Not always. Sometimes you do have two guys go to a call together in one of the big trucks, the box truck.
We're going to send you a picture, George.
Right.
Yeah,
okay,
I know you
enough.
will.
Stop. We're enough of this. We'll be up here all night.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
So we're asking for you're asking for 41,736 for a new truck.
I'm putting it in an article for 44, but that's what the actual truck is for. I mean, if you want me to stick to that figure, but sometimes you might want to get a toolbox or something for it, or a special item for it, so I leave a little margin of error there.
Okay. So those are the capital, those are the articles that are good. They're going to obviously have to be written out in town meeting article format.
Correct. And I'm going to work with Jeff a little bit to get the final cost factors before, including with the cap. I've made up the capital improvement plan already, like a 5-page plan for our 5-year plan. But like I said, that's subject to change too, because we're always changing certain things here and there. They're just looking for an idea where we're at, where we're going.
All right.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah. And I'd like to know when that capital improvement meeting is.
Okay.
Okay. Do we don't need to make a motion on this?
No.
As long as I get the approval from the board that they're all good with it.
It's okay,
all.
George.
Thank you.
I mean, is anybody opposed to it? No. Okay, good. I think we're before Jeff leaves, I don't know if he's heard about this. Couple of weeks ago, Bob sent around an email the National Rural Water PFAS lawsuit. Put out by the Mass Rural Water Association. It's a class action lawsuit going after the people who make the chemicals that have PFAS. It's not going after the local folks. It's not going after the local mills or wherever it came from. It's going after the folks that that actually made it. I believe it was sent out to everyone.
Yep.
Seems to be a no-brainer to sign up for it. It doesn't cost us anything. It's a class action lawsuit, much like the MTBE lawsuit of years past. It doesn't cost us anything. The thing is, when it comes to fruition, and if there is any kind of a payout, if we're not signed up, we're not in on it. It seems to me to be a no-brainer. Anybody in opposition to signing up for it? I mean, have you heard of it, Jeff?
I've only heard of it. I don't have the details on it.
I mean, this thing is a lot of links and things like that on the thing, but it's something that Bob had sent around on the 19th of February. Unless anybody's in opposition, we'll have Jen fill out the information there to get us involved in it. No opposition? Okay, good. So we'll move that. All right, and I think that's it for anything. Is there anything else that you needed from us, Jeff?
No, I don't need anything else.
Okay, and I think we're good as well. So unless you have nothing better to do and want to sit in on the rest of our meeting, we'll say good night.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Jeff.
I'll sign off. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. The next on the agenda was George's merit raise. I did get a
Mr. Chairman?
copy. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
You need to go back to job reclassifications.
Oh,
That was
okay.
number two.
Job reclassification. Okay.
Mr.
As
Chairman, I'll make this quick.
go ahead.
Since I've talked to a lot of you about this, I haven't officially got notice from Mr. Ruda that Brian's position of primary operator has now been approved, and I've got the signed document for that. Okay. He's asked us, and I know we talked about hiring a guy from and license and all that, but he's asked us to let the negotiating process go through, and they will work all those details out, including the job classifications that I've listed, because they are in negotiations starting this month. So I agreed that.
George,
Hello?
I'm sorry to
Yep.
interrupt. Are we in on the negotiations?
Yeah, I'm allowed to go in, and I think Bob was asked about going in on it.
Bob, have you gone in?
Well,
I'm
they haven't
going in?
started yet.
They didn't start yet, but I will attend if they give me the dates.
So, yeah, did you get that, Tom?
Yep. George,
Okay.
can you give them the dates?
As soon as I get the information, I'll pass it along, but nothing's officially really started yet. They start off with ground rules and go with that, which is nothing, and then they start into their meetings and negotiation. The union representative for the water sewer is Brian. Brian is the representative, so he's all versed in what has to be done for our job classifications. Anyway, in the meantime, Scott and I had talked. We're talking about putting a temporary guy in place while they do this, or whatever. I've recommended right now, I need somebody in here quick to start training. And Mike is leaving sometime in the November timeframe of this year. And I have to have somebody start to learn water and sewer. There's a lot involved. Plus, to give at least a 6-month opportunity to get a license, because I know I'm going to have to follow the union laws of coming from like the highway or something like that. within our town, within our union. So I'm willing to take that. I think there's still a possible good pool of people that I can draw from, train them. I have 90 days to evaluate and see if they're going to work out. That's per the union laws. If they don't work out, I have the right to kick them back to where they came from. And invite, and on and on. I just wish, I wish we could have done the other way, but I'm willing to accept this way because I really need to get somebody in here quick and start learning. And I know there's some people over there that are willing to go ahead and take class. And it's happened with Luke. It's happened with Brian too. It's worked out. And I expect it to continue to work out that way. And then down the line for the hire after that, because that'll just replace one individual, not add one. Then we can look at a different process once the union establishes these positions as what they are. The reason why I'm waiting is because these job classifications are also a combined position of water and sewer, combined responsibility, cross-training. There's certain things involved with that the union has to work out. But right now, the jobs that the guys are doing when they're going from water, sewer, whatever like that, they're doing on their own merit. And by me asking them to do that, I appreciate that. There's something they don't have to do because they weren't hired for one or the other, but they are doing it. So I just want to solidify that we are a combined group so that if somebody decides to have an issue with it, it is what it is. It has to be done or you face consequences, but that will never happen. I don't even think about that. So I'm just asking for approval right now to go ahead and start the hiring process for a new employee to be a laborer or eventually labor operator once they work it out in the union, and to move Luke up to what is now still a maintenance position, which we have open temporarily until the union works out the job titles to where he would actually be a assistant plant operator like Brian was, or a secondary operator, and labor would be labor operator. I know it's confusing. It's hard to explain it sometimes, but that's kind of where we're at right now. The union is going to take the full group of months till close to July or even after to go through these negotiations. And I just can't wait that long. And I just want to, accept that, we could probably still get a good candidate even from inside town here.
George, how long were you gonna wait for them to get the permits, the licenses?
I'm letting them go through their process, which is going to take probably about 4 or 5 months right now. It's always been a long process.
But you're talking, how long do you have before you can kick them back if they don't work out?
90 days.
Okay, that's 3 months, George.
Yep.
And then you're gonna give them what, 5? What'd you say, 5 months to get their license?
6 months to get their license, and it's not. Unfortunately, it's not an easy process because right now, even with COVID, there's issues with getting them onto. They have to go through an 8-week course to learn the process. To learn before they take their test, and the testing has changed from back in the day. It's more stringent right now.
I understand that, George, but you're looking at 3 months whether you can kick them back. So after the 3 months, you can't kick them back, right?
I have up to 3 months.
Okay.
I can kick them back earlier if I feel they're not working out.
Can I finish, George? My question, you have 3 months whether you can kick them back, but they get 6 months to get their license. So after the 3 months, if they said, well, I'm not going to get my license, you're stuck with them.
No, they're going to be already in the process of going for their license before
Okay,
they even...
if they don't get it, if they're in the process and they quit or something happens and they fail.
Tom, I think that's part of the position would be that they're required to obtain a license within X amount of months.
And if they
So
don't,
if they're hired on that premise
won't.
and then they cannot complete it, then it's not like.
Yeah, they have to. They have to get their license.
Okay, so what happens after the 3 months is that if they don't work out, they're out of work, period. They don't have the highway to go back to.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They cannot fill the position in the highway.
That's up to 3 months.
After the 90 days.
Oh, after the 90 days, no. I mean, that goes.
After
yeah.
the license, they're gone. They don't keep the job. If you don't meet the requirements of the job, you're out.
That's what they had. That's what the understanding is. When Luke was hired, that was the understanding with him. And when Brian was hired, that was the understanding with him. They have to get their licenses, and they get a required, I think it was 6 months to get at least one of the licenses, which would be treatment one, which would now allow them certain accesses for chemicals and on call as long as somebody's in the area. But, you know,
What you're saying is that 6 months, right? If they do not have a license, we can fire them.
that's what the game plan would be. Yes. Yep.
But you just said that you have up to 3 months, 90 days to send them back if they don't work out.
Yeah, there's two factors involved here. There's one with the license and there's one with their performance.
Right. The 90 days is a probationary period to see if they can work within the department and perform at a satisfactory level.
Correct. That's built into the contracts in the union. So I don't want you to get confused with the licensing versus the performance evaluation on how they're performing and work. I have a right within that period, if they're telling me for any reason, go pound sand, I'm not listening to you, whatever, they go back to the highway, just for an example, or whatever they came from. They have to hold that position for them for up to 90 days. That is the rule that was established many years ago. Okay. As far as the license goes, 6 months is an adequate time period to get your license. Now, I'm not saying that I would fire them because they happen to fail the first test. That happens. That happened here. It's not fair to them. If they didn't make an honest effort in that, we know it. We know, if they're coming in here studying or asking questions, we know they're trying. It's if they don't try and they kind of slurk it and don't perform to try to even get the license, then you've got an issue going here. Then we have to look at that. But it's just the way it is right now with the way the system is set up in town. Until we establish our own basic system, and I know the board was going to step in a little bit, but I'm trying to play ball with the town administrator and let him do his process and change the things that need to be changed through the union, through the negotiations. I just need to get somebody in here ASAP because there's a lot to learn and we don't have much time, especially with losing one of our veteran employees coming down the pike. The new position, labor, you want to call it, that this individual would be coming into would eventually maybe turn it over to the sewer side when Mike leaves and Timmy moves up, and he would maybe fill the second position where Timmy is now. I mean, that's always a very big possibility, and that's fine. But that's why I have everybody logged in as one unit, because I'm going to be drawing together all the certain activities so that jobs get done. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. George, question.
Yep.
To the chair. The guys you have now, are they learning the suicide now?
Yes, they are. I'm very pleased and I appreciate all their work. They assist the sewer. They're learning about jetting. They've learned about the system. They've learned about the stations. There's been times where they've been out checking stations for the sewer. As you know, we've had trouble with for many months now where there's only been one or two of us here. I'll give an example, Brian and myself. We lost everybody because of quarantines and injuries or whatever. And Brian and I have gone out, and I've checked many stations, but Brian's gone out, checked sewer stations along with the water stations, helped with jetting like myself, learned about ways certain things go. We're still learning more. Mike's been a great help training the guys as to what needs to be done. For him to leave is a big blow to us because there's still a lot to learn. You can't learn everything in a couple of years, but we're making strides to at least learn as much as we possibly can. And they'll be continuing to do that even now. And they've learned a lot. I think they really have learned a lot.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Scott will be right back.
Oh.
He'll be right back.
Went to the big boys chair.
No,
Really?
his tablet died, so he'll be right
Oh.
back.
You think we can make a motion to adjourn where he's gone? Jen, is there a lot left on the agenda?
We have George's merit raise, emails about the commissioners, superintendent's report, then board comments. I'm gonna let Scott in. So a little bit, yes. There he is.
I'm back.
Mr. Chairman, we made a motion to adjourn, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on my cell phone now, so I will see what I can even get out of this thing.
I just need approval for you.
There we go. I swiped right too many times. All right. Okay, so the discussion of the job well, it wasn't even job reclassification. So as I understand it, Luke is going to move up a position, and we're going to fill a laborer position.
Yes, Luke will temporarily move into that maintenance position that's open right now. They're not classified for DEP's liking, but
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. We don't need to muddy the water. What we want to do right now is to do that.
yeah, that's all. Simple as that.
Okay. All right. So did we move further on? Okay. George's merit raise was the next thing on the agenda. Did you get into that at all yet?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. So by looking at there it is, the personnel manual, pages 11 and 12, it tells what has to be done for that.
Mr. Chairman, I think George was looking for an answer on the job position.
On what? On
approval to hire
a
laborer.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right.
And move
Luke.
I thought you had kept moving. All right. So
Well, there was a long discussion that we didn't get to that point yet.
Okay. So where is that discussion then?
Approval, just to say, make a motion.
So I guess he's looking for a motion to approve.
All right. Okay.
Moving Luke and adding a laborer.
Okay, so I guess we need a motion to do all of that. I believe, well, hiring another person, I think we do have to talk about, but as far as moving folks around within the department, I believe that's in the superintendent's job description, is it not?
It's good to have the board's approval on it. I suppose I'm not really versed in it, but
yep.
I'd
All
like to
right.
at least have the support of the board.
Okay, so what's the is the discussion complete?
I mean, I have some concerns still, but I've had the same concerns all along that, we don't meet the requirements with the positions.
I get that, but until we get that through the union and
Right.
through that whole process, we still have to operate our system.
Right.
Luke has been sitting in a laborer's position for quite a while. And he's got licenses. He's got licenses that are far beyond that. I think it's only right that we move him up. If we're going to hire another person, then it doesn't make any sense at all to hire a new person into a higher position.
So
I think that would
do
be
we
a real
need to
kick in the
have,
teeth.
but do we need to have some kind of discussion as to, I mean, I'm semi-familiar with on how some unions work. Now, if you move Luke into that position, I don't know if we can put a stipulation that position will convert to secondary operator, just because if you put him in that position and then we reclassify all the positions, and someone comes in and says, oh, wait a minute, the secondary operator position is open. Luke can apply for it, but someone else can also apply for it. You might be stipping Luke
that's the same case as if he's sitting in a laborer position and we create a secondary operator position.
But he should already be in the secondary operator position because by law, we have to have a secondary operator. If the primary operator is out of commission, as did happen, legally, we don't have an operator for the system.
I know, but we as a board can call them whatever we want. The union is going to call them whatever fits in the union contract. We don't have a whole lot of options there, other than if you want to take a vote now to reclassify all the guys into whatever names we want them to be and tell the union to grieve it. That's our only options. We either work within the union contract or we say, screw the union contract and we're going to call our guys this with these responsibilities. We'll take it whichever, I'll vote on whatever you want to do, but at this point, he's sitting in a laborer position and he's got licenses that are far beyond that.
I agree. I believe Luke should be up. I just don't want to stiff Luke in the event that the union tries to pull something else down the road.
If he's in a laborer position or a mechanic position or whatever other positions we have, when the jobs are reclassified, the process is going to be the same. Doesn't matter what position they're in now. If they have to apply to be put into that position, then they have to apply. The union already has a stipulation with internal candidates have priority.
Yes,
So
seniority.
there's nobody internal that's got any of the licenses to be
Correct.
a primary or a secondary operator.
Correct. That's what protects him from anybody coming in. They can't. He's the senior man and priority.
So, I mean, I don't think we'd be stiffing him at all. I think we'd be stiffing him if we left him where he is.
I agree.
Correct.
I'd make a motion that we go ahead and move them up.
Okay, now the process for moving him up, and this is because of the union contract. We have to
post for 1 week.
advertise. We have to post the job internal for a week.
Correct.
Now, anybody with qualifications can apply for it. For the mechanics position. Does the mechanics position require any licenses? That would be the problem. We could get somebody apply for it that doesn't have any licenses, but does the mechanics position have licenses on it?
It doesn't require them, but I think Bob made a good point. We should just write that stipulation that it's soon to be a secondary operator's position for Luke coming into play. That position is going to be dissolved pretty soon once the union gets their act together. So yes, that is not a DEP required type of title.
Okay,
it's just temporary job, temporary move up.
No, it's a permanent move up. He's moving up.
Well, temporary job should be temporary job description. He'll be moving into a secondary position when it's established.
George,
Yes.
do we know how long the union's gonna take?
I'd say at least 4 months at a minimum right now with past practice. I can't say for sure. There's a new group of guys in there, but I told the town administrator, these are what needs to be done on our side, but as soon as you possibly can get it done, get it done. Because we need to move forward.
Okay. So a motion's been made to move
Luke up.
to advertise that position up and move, and move Luke into it, after the week. And then okay, I guess that's
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
should the motion be to fill the mechanics position and open a laborer's position to fill?
Yes, okay.
As opposed to saying we're gonna move, because I think that's left up to George.
I was concerned with putting a name on it. You're right. That's the I believe that would be the right way to say it.
So I make a motion to fill the mechanic's position and fill a labor position should it become available.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on that? That keeps the wording within the union contract.
I apologize. Who seconded it? I had my head down.
I did, Jen, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much, everybody.
okay, so motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Roll
Aye.
call.
Sullivan, aye.
Tom Funya, aye.
Bill Connolly, aye.
Any small eye.
Stratukowski, aye. Okay, good deal. So we got that. George's merit raise, just as I spoke with the town administrator and I got the copies of its pages 11 and 12 of the approved personnel manual. And basically, a merit raise can be given. It cannot be any more than 3%. And if we determine that we want to do it, we would make the recommendation. It would go to the personnel board for their endorsement. And then the final approval is with the Board of Selectmen. So the Board of Selectmen have final approval over any merit raises that we determine to give to, I guess it would be either of two employees, our superintendent and our administrative assistant. So our recommendation goes to the Personnel Board, and then the Personnel Board sends it to the Board of Selectmen with their recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I make a recommendation. We give George a 3% merit raise.
Effective date?
Monday. I mean, if you want to back it up? I know we
When was George's merit rate supposed to go, or when was he
Yeah.
supposed to be reviewed?
He was supposed to have been reviewed in November.
So I mean, I would say it should go retroactive. But
Do we have exact date?
Give me 1 second and I can find the exact date, certainly.
Okay. Boy, that's a lot of light glare. That's better. November 7th? Okay, you're muted. I was reading your lips.
I'm so sorry. You were pretty good. November 11th.
11th, 7th, 11th, they look the same.
I apologize. I was back in my other screen. Sorry.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to give George a merit raise of 3% from back to November 11th.
2020.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, no further discussion. Roll call vote.
Tom Funya, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Bill Connolly, aye.
Any small eye.
Stratukowski, aye. Okay,
Thank
guess
you,
Sorry
everybody.
it took so long. Sorry it
We'll
took
have
so long, George.
That's
We'll have
okay.
to-
I appreciate the support. No.
we'll have to draw the, write up that letter of recommendation. And I'll stop into the office tomorrow to sign it, I guess, and for the board. And then we can send it off to the personnel board. We still there?
Yep.
Oh, okay. It just went black. Okay, the screen went black. That's all. All right. Merit raise, emails for commissioners. And that is, of all this paper I've got spread out, I do not have that scale. I know, we talked about it briefly last meeting. The town has entered into a contract with a company to provide, archived email for all pertinent town employees and, elected board members. Jen, or the administrative assistant office, Jen in the office is set up for a complete, which also includes, archiving of all correspondence and everything else. George is set up for email only, I believe. And then, the recommendation is that, all elected personnel have, the same, individual emails. They're archived for up to 5 years, I believe. I'm going from memory here, so if I'm wrong, please correct me. And I believe the cost was it $350 a year per person? I believe. We talked about it.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize for, let me go back to the other, hold on. For just the email, it is $263.96 per year per email.
Okay, all right. And then it was what? So then it was what, 500 for the other one?
It was $371.90 for the
Oh,
other.
371. Okay, so the office is set up for full.
Mhm.
George is set up now for, email only.
Yes,
Okay, and the recommendation is that, each elected person be set up as well. That is to protect the town and to protect us. I know some folks, I think Bob himself set up his own personal, email for, water sewer business only, but he's responsible for archiving all of that. I've looked at it. It's for it's about $1,300 for 5 commissioners, annually. That would be a regular annual expense that would be worked into the budget. But to me, that seems to be a no-brainer. And then all town correspondence, all water sewer correspondence would be done through those emails. If someone leaves the board, their emails would automatically be archived and saved for 5 years or however long it needs to be. And then the next person would be set up. So, it would be an added regular expense of about $1,300 a year for the
Plus
5.
the office plus George, right?
Well, plus the office and George, have to happen.
Right.
That has to happen anyways. But it just seems to be a no-brainer that we start doing our all of our email correspondence in an official manner, so that if someone were to happen to make a public records request of emails, that now gets into the realm of how much access do they have to your personal email to see what you have for pertinent email. I know we discussed it, and I know there was some reservations last time, but I want to keep it on the agenda, if for nothing else, to put it in our next budget. To me, I think it would be a smart plan to just to get it started. Because we're an enterprise, we have to pay for it ourselves. I know planning board and a few other boards have already been set up with it.
Not that I have anything to hide, but
Just wanted to get it, keep it on the, see what folks, thought of it and keep it on the, and keep it on the radar.
We would have a different email address for that town.
I believe it would be, like for me, I believe it would be szakowski@dudleyma.gov.
Okay.
I believe that's the way they're setting it up.
Yes,
First initial, last name @dudleyma.gov. And then you work on, there's ways to get it, to work it in so that the emails would come through, in your regular email server on your email program on your cell phone or computer or whatever.
Yeah.
You merge the accounts and you're able to get that account to come in.
Okay.
So it's, I don't know if folks want to chew on it for another month, or if there's any thoughts of getting it started or what. I know I would support getting it started as soon as we can.
I'd be in favor of it, Mr. Chairman.
What's that?
I'd be in favor of it with yourself, but, to start implement this deal.
Is that a motion, Jay?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we go ahead with this email work, so we have our own private emails address.
Yeah. They're not private emails. That's
Official emails.
Public email.
Official emails, yes.
The public email.
Yes. And
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
It would be water, okay, so a motion's been made and seconded. Okay, and that would be for all water and sewer correspondence, all town correspondence. Okay, so motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Roll call vote?
Jason, aye.
Tom Funya, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Okay, Scott Zakowski, aye. So that's unanimous, so we can get that started and we'll figure out, what line item to pull it off of for this year, probably just out of expenses from, probably split it the regular 60/40 or whatever, 70/30, whatever it is for water sewer. Okay, email, superintendent's report.
Real quick, I know everybody's tired. There's nothing, if you have any questions on what I submitted to you, I tried to trim it down a little bit because we had a big agenda. I just want to let you guys quickly know in 1 minute's time or less that the Station 3 well project is just about complete, aside from some electrical work. I think I mentioned, I'm not sure. They're waiting on a component to come in to match one of our electrical panels and the VFD to be mounted on the wall. Once that's done, it's DEP comes in, checks it out. Testing is done on PFAS bacteria. And then we have everybody together to do a powwow and start how we're going to blend it together. And it's monitored through a sampling site. They're going to be monitoring that regularly, taking samples to see how the blending is going to go and how we do. So that's kind of everything else I have written down there that we've established so far. So if you have any questions, just ask away.
Okay, yeah, I do have one question. I know we were discussing earlier about vehicle needs. But going and buying really old foreign vehicles is probably not a good idea. And I'm referring to line item number 5 on sewer. To service the Jetta. They haven't made a Volkswagen Jetta in years.
Funny, Scott.
Just saying.
That's a good catch, Scott. I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jetta. Okay.
Sorry, it was.
Sorry.
Of course,
It
we
was
are
a
in
rough
Boston.
day.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Okay. Yeah. Were there any board? I'd like to. Do any board members have any comments? None. Okay. Tom's made a motion.
Tom. I'll
I
second
did.
it.
Okay. Second. All in
Thank
favor?
you. Aye. Tom Funya, aye.
Bob Sullivan, aye.
Bill Conley, aye.
Scott Sikowski, aye. So make sure that jet is blue.
God bless.
Okay.